Hello, welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. 3:00 p.m. IM. Chapter 41, Middle East Region. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Open black lens bracket. New York Daily News. Close black lens bracket. In the early hours of this morning, there was an appalling gang fight on Highway 11 in the outermost suburbs of Queens. It is now confirmed that the Saint 10 will be one of the rage gangs, and the other gangs are still under investigation. According to police statistics, more than 200 people died in the gang fight. This is the biggest casualty this year, and the FBI has now intervened in the investigation. We will continue to follow up the follow-up incident investigation. 3 days later, Li Wei appeared in a small village in the Middle East. As for where it is, to be honest, Li Wei is not clear. Since coming to the Middle East, Li Wei has lost countless times. The first feeling that the Middle East gave Li Wei was chaos. If you use two words to describe it, then it is chaos. The shadow of war has been looming over this area. Fear, killing, and death are synonymous here. Li Wei came here for a very simple purpose, which is to teach Ten Rings a lesson. Ten Rings has angered him. Fortunately, it is not difficult to inquire about Ten Rings in this area. Ten Rings has become notorious in this area. Wherever there are killings, they are there. According to Li Wei's description of a black young man. Actually, Li Wei didn't understand it either. He just drew 10 circles on the ground, and then the black young man danced in horror. Li Wei didn't know what the black youth meant. He followed the black youth's directions to this mountain. But let alone the silhouettes of people in this mountain area, it's hard to find something alive. The sun was hanging in the sky, and drops of sweat slipped from Li Wei's cheeks. At this time, Li Wei's ears moved slightly. Advertisement. A faint sound came into Li Wei's ears. Li Wei turned his head and looked to the southeast. He heard it. It was the sound of a cannon. Although the sound of the cannon was almost negligible, he heard it. Li Wei kicked his legs on the ground, and with a boom, Li Wei soared into the sky like a rocket launched, leaping towards the southeast. Boom boom boom. Fierce gunfire sounded. Bullet blows splashed dust on the ground, and the blows left holes in the walls. Boom. Suddenly, a roar sounded. A dilapidated wall blasted open, and two soldiers in camouflage uniforms were lifted out. The blasted gravel tore their bodies, and a soldier had his head cut off by half, and the blood mixed with his brains stained the ground. This is Syria, a village called Koroya. The streets are full of dead bodies, most of them are poor villagers in this village. Children, women, the elderly, and men are all spared. Sir, the information we got is wrong. Where is a small group of terrorists? This is an army, even tanks are there. We already have a small group of soldiers' casualties. Also, we seem to be surrounded. What should we do? In the ruins, a sturdy man in a camouflage uniform lay in the mud and shouted to the commander next to him. The commander is a middle-aged white man, about 40 years old. They are America's army in Syria. This time their mission is to destroy a rebel organization that is wandering around, like 100 people. The information was wrong. Advertisement. This is a rebel with inadequate weapons, this is clearly a terrorist with elite equipment. The white commander put down the telescope in his hand, frowning. The dozens of people he brought this time were all experienced special forces. If he simply confronted these hundreds of terrorists, he would have confidence in repelling these terrorist attacks. Even annihilate them. However, these terrorists are not only 10 times more numerous than theirs, and even their weapons are countless times stronger than their regular army. Even weapons such as rockets and tanks can be obtained by terrorists. This battle can't be fought. If they drag on, they may be in danger of being wiped out. Prepare to retreat, the white commander said. Sir, I'm afraid we won't be able to leave. The voice of the sturdy man came, and the white commander looked forward, and the terrorists on the opposite side had already begun to attack them. Tanks were advancing on the left and right, and dozens of panicked villagers were behind them. If they retreat, these villagers will undoubtedly die. Moreover, this group of terrorists are very cunning, and their transport vehicles were beaten into scrap by tanks. Race against terrorist tanks and trucks on two legs, and the commander doesn't think they have a chance of escape. Soldiers, are you ready to sacrifice for the country? In despair, the commander smiled. Boom boom boom. The fierce exchange of fire began. Although with the aid of tanks, terrorists can advance quickly, but these US forces are elite troops who have experienced many battles, and each terrorist is on the way. Whoosh. At this moment, a harsh voice sounded. Provide. The sturdy man watched a missile fall next to him. He shouted hysterically, pressing the commander and lying on the ground. Boom. Then, there was a roar. Advertisement. The dust was flying, and the two soldiers were lifted out. The commander shook his head, the buzzing in his ears, it took a long time to calm down. Sergeant Major Jack, I owe you another life. The commander said with lingering fear. Then you have to remember, you owe me 3 bottles of whiskey. The sturdy man laughed. Hey, excuse you, do you know 10 rings? At this time, a voice rang beside the commander and Sergeant Jack. The white commander subconsciously wanted to answer that he didn't know, but the voice was very strange, and it was definitely not a soldier under his command. He and Sergeant Major Jack turned to look at this man. This was a yellow-skinned teenager whose bare bald head instantly attracted their attention under the sun's rays. The young man held a comic book in his hand and looked down as if he was addicted to it. Boy, give you a suggestion. If you don't want to be scared to pee your pants, you'd better hide behind. Sergeant Major Jack grinned. Thank you for your suggestion, but I am most interested in 10 rings right now. I have something to do with them. Li Wei said solemnly. What do you want them to do? The commander asked, his brow furrowed. 10 Rings is a notorious terrorist organization. They should try to avoid conflicts with 10 Rings in this area. Is this yellow-skinned boy from 10 Rings? Then he wouldn't let the former leave so easily. Peace thanks Kumi 4628. Love to read novel XS 520. 11. Infatuated Dream. Tears of the Eiffel Tower. 3 Book Friends. Sorrow. Shiranui Wu. The Recommendation of a Dream in the Vicissitudes of Life. Chapter 42. One Punch, One Tank. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. We have a bit of a grudge, I have to find them to calculate. Li Wei said with a slick bald head. Provide. As soon as Li Wei's voice fell, Sergeant Major Jack roared. Boom. There was another explosion. Dust is flying, gravel splashes. Sergeant Major Jack and the commander looked at the bald heads beside them, only to find that this guy was standing like an okay person, with dull eyes. This guy is lucky. Jack and the commander thought at the same time. On the battlefield, even if it is not hit by a shell, the flying gravel is very deadly. Since you don't know, then I will ask the person opposite. Li Wei said. Boy, come back. Sergeant Major Jack wanted to stop Li Wei, but his voice sounded and Li Wei had already stepped out of the obstacle. Boy, come back soon, you are dead. The commander shouted. This guy. Boom. Before the commander finished speaking, a miniature missile landed at Li Wei's feet. With a boom, Li Wei was lifted off. A young life has disappeared. The commander shook his head helplessly. In this battlefield, he has seen too many farewells. Wait, sir, look ahead, am I wrong? Is that bald head him? Sergeant Major Jack's words made the commander look forward. The opponent's tank was advancing, and the terrorists were hiding behind the tank and approaching them. Among the group of terrorists, one figure was extremely dazzling. Advertisement. Isn't that the bald head just now? Hey, brother, you know 10. Li Wei patted a middle-aged man on the shoulder and was about to ask a question. The middle-aged man interrupted him. Whose subordinate, in Arabic, is this guy? The middle-aged man looked at his men behind him, but found that they shook their heads. Brother, do you understand English? I want to ask. Where's your gun? Are you going to fight the enemy with your bare hands, in Arabic? The middle-aged man interrupted Li Wei's questioning roughly. I don't understand what you said. Li Wei shook his head. I just want to. Here is the gun for you. This is a good guy. You must kill a few more enemies later, in Arabic. The middle-aged man stuffed an AK-47 into Li Wei's arms. Li Wei felt as if he was talking to the air. He picked up the AK-47, it seems to be bad. Bang. Li Wei fiddled with it, and suddenly, the gunfire sounded and a bullet shot out. I got it wrong, it's good. Li Wei grinned and said, but found that the middle-aged man turned hard, the bullet penetrated his neck, and the blood kept pouring out. At this time, Li Wei discovered that the middle-aged man had 10 rings tattooed on his neck. 10 rings. It's really far in the sky, right in front of you. You are 10. What did you do? Arabic. Before Li Wei finished speaking, the middle-aged man's men started making noise. He killed the boss. Brothers, he is a nasty American soldier, kill him, in Arabic. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the firepower of the AK-47 drowned Li Wei. The AK-47 roared, sparks spurted from the muzzle, and bullets roared towards Levi Roar. Advertisement. In Li Wei's field of vision, the trajectory of these bullets can be clearly seen. What about people? Damn it, did that go? Almost as soon as the shot was fired, Li Wei's figure disappeared in front of the terrorists. When he reappeared, Li Wei came behind the terrorists. As soon as he swept his legs, a violent wind swept across for a while, and a group of terrorists threw out screamingly. There are enemies. At this time other terrorists reacted. A big man carried a small rocket launcher and aimed at Li Wei. The figure flickered, the big man didn't even have a chance to pull the trigger, and Li Wei appeared in front of him. The big man was shocked and took a step back subconsciously. Li Wei lifted his foot, with his toes touching the man's chest. Bang! A dull voice sounded, and the big man's chest sank severely, and the whole person flew out more than 10 meters. Boom boom boom. Roar roared from countless bullets, and dozens of terrorists appeared in front of Li Wei. Ordinary boxing. Li Wei waved his fist and bombarded the terrorists. Boom. With a punch, the dust is flying. The rubble splashed and the building collapsed. A fan-shaped area about tens of meters in front of Li Wei was turned into ruins. The terrorists in the ruins do not know their life or death. However, with an attack of this level, it is absolutely impossible for ordinary people to survive. That guy, Sergeant Major Jack and the commander watching from the opposite side constricted their pupils. This yellow-skinned bald head was simply a humanoid Tyrannosaurus. Is this guy still a human? Advertisement. Not to mention Sergeant Major Jack and the commander, many American soldiers who saw this scene have this question in their hearts. Boom. With a bang, the tank in the distance of the terrorist fired. In everyone's eyes, this shot hit Li Wei. With a bang, Li Wei flew out like a cannonball and smashed into the ruins. It's over. Unlike the delighted expressions of the terrorists, the American soldiers sank in their hearts. They didn't think that Li Wei could survive the attack of tanks. The smoke is gone. A figure appeared in the eyes of everyone. Li Wei still stands, as tall as a mountain. The white cloak is moving in the wind. Li Wei had already put on the Saitama uniform just before the shell hit him. It is not that the shells pose a threat to him, but Li Wei does not want his clothes to be damaged by shells. He's not dead. The American soldiers breathed a sigh of relief. Although I don't know who this bald head is, as long as he does not die, the pressure on them from terrorists can be reduced. Quite contrary to the mood of the US military. Seeing that Li Wei was hit by a shell and still appeared in front of everyone, all the terrorists were stunned. Boom. Li Wei launched an attack. He kicked his legs on the ground, and his powerful explosive force instantly cracked the ground. Li Wei turned into a golden light and hit the tank in the distance. Bang! There was a sound of metal impact, and in the eyes of everyone with their jaws dropped, the giant tank was abruptly deformed, and it was hit by the bald head and flew out more than 10 meters. Bang! Li Wei jumped again, leaping towards another tank. Li Wei landed from the sky and landed on this tank. Boom! With just a punch, the thick iron skin was distorted, and the tank sank severely. Monster. At this moment, this was the only thought in the hearts of everyone present. The terrorists no longer had the slightest desire to fight, and the birds and beasts dispersed in an instant. Chapter 43 I am an army by myself. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Thank you so much, you saved us all. May I know your name? At this moment Li Wei stood on the tank, his white cloak moving with the wind, and he put on a majestic poise. Reason. Naturally, a group of US troops below were shooting with their mobile phones. My name is. I know you. You are the bald man, the man in the cloak. Li Wei wanted to take a domineering code name, but he was actually recognized. It was a young American soldier who was in his 20s. I've watched your video on the internet. The young American soldier was a little excited when he spoke. He saw the eyes of everyone watching him, his face flushed like a tomato. Li Wei's mouth twitched unnaturally. He knew that this unpleasant code name was going to circulate in this place again. After taking photos with the enthusiastic American soldiers, Li Wei left. Except that the code name made him a little depressed, overall he was in a good mood. It is about 3 o'clock at the moment. This is the hottest moment of the day, with the hot sun hanging high in the sky. In a rolling mountain, Li Wei's figure appeared. The mountains here meandering and undulating, and majestic and peculiar mountains abound. Li Wei looked down. A truck was driving on the narrow road. These are the terrorists who fled. Li Wei let them go. Naturally he wanted to put a long line to catch the big fish. He wants to destroy 10 Rings base in Syria at once. About an hour later, these terrorists finally arrived at their base. This is a valley. Advertisement. At random, there are hundreds of 10 Rings terrorists patrolling in the valley alone. However, the quantity has no meaning for Li Wei. He alone is an army. Li Wei swaggered into the valley like this. Seeing Li Wei's arrogant appearance, the terrorist guarding the checkpoint did not know Li Wei's identity for a while, and did not stop him. Who is that guy, in Arabic? After Li Wei left, a terrorist asked his companion. I don't know, I haven't seen it, in Arabic. Another said. I haven't seen it either. I have only been here for a few days, in Arabic. That's a coincidence, I've only been here for a few days, in Arabic. In the valley, there are countless heavy weapons piled up. Li Wei casually took a look, and there were even helicopter guns, anti-tank guns, the logo of Stark Industries was printed on them. Speaking of Stark Industries, Li Wei suddenly thought of Tony Stark. He seems to have been kidnapped by 10 rings, and he is locked in an unknown cave. Li Wei didn't know where Tony was locked up, but it was this incident that made Tony the Iron Man. Stop! Who are you, Arabic? Suddenly, a voice came from behind Li Wei. At the same time, in the cave, a group of terrorists who escaped from Li Wei's claws told the leader of the base what had happened. Surprisingly, the leader of this base is actually a woman. The appearance is 7 points, and there are 2 scary scars on the beautiful cheeks, like 2 crossed centipedes. You mean, the other party killed you all alone, in Arabic? The female chief said casually, but the cold light from her slender eyes made the several terrorists in front of her start a cold war. Yes, that guy sent the tank flying with 1 punch, in Arabic. A terrorist danced and described it in a very real way. Humph, the female chief snorted, damn mutant. Boom. Advertisement. At this moment, a loud roar came and the whole cave shook. Damn it, you won't follow the tale. The female chief cursed. Absolutely not. We checked it several times and came back after a few laps. In the valley. Boom boom boom. Fierce gunfire sounded. This is the sound of AK-47. The AK-47 has fierce firepower and simple operation. It is the favorite weapon in the war-torn Middle East. Where is he? As soon as Li Wei's figure appeared, it was covered by a burst of firepower. Whoosh! A piercing voice sounded, and a rocket blasted towards Li Wei. Boom! A deafening roar sounded, and the place where Li Wei was standing was instantly razed to the ground. What happened? At this time, the female chief came out. An enemy broke in. A little boss said, however, we have solved it. As soon as the little boss's voice fell, a yellow figure appeared in everyone's eyes while the dust was flying. It's him. A terrorist who participated in the previous battle said in horror. Kill him. The female chief said coldly. Several small bosses replied, pushing out several anti-tank guns. Boom boom boom. The anti-tank roared, and shells rushed towards Li Wei. Boom. In an instant, the place where Li Wei was standing was razed to the ground. But Li Wei's figure disappeared. Damn it, it's the trick just now. The little boss scolded. Dead. Suddenly, a slow voice came from beside them. Li Wei did not know when to appear beside the crowd, and his fist bombarded the terrorists. The white cloak rattled loudly, and the fist rubbed the air to make a harsh sonic boom. Advertisement. Boom. The fist blasted out, and the violent fist wind swept out, and the place instantly turned into rubble. All life is gone. Huh. It was a woman who surprised Li Wei. He just saw that this woman jumped out the moment he punched. But she still underestimated Li Wei's strength. Even if it was just a fist wind, she was blown away, and she was seriously injured. The female leader half kneeled on the ground, with a trace of blood on the corner of her mouth. Li Wei walked to the head of the female head. She raised her head and looked at Li Wei. Because she was facing the sun, she did not see Li Wei's face clearly, but the towering figure made her only one word. Powerful. If she hadn't been injected with the gene-strengthening serum, she would have died under this punch like everyone else. Boom boom boom. A series of bullets hit Li Wei, as if he didn't want to make Li Wei move forward. Li Wei looked up and saw that it was a helicopter gunship. On the helicopter, the Maxim machine gun roared, boom boom boom, and the dense bullets covered Li Wei. Li Wei kicked his legs on the ground, and with a bang, he rose into the sky. In the horrified eyes of the helicopter pilot and the machine gunner, Li Wei appeared in front of the helicopter. Damn it! The pilot and the machine gunner yelled, and Li Wei punched. Boom. With a loud noise, the helicopter exploded in the air like firework. Finally, a big explosion in the valley announced the destruction of the 10 Rings base. Rumble. This was a loud noise that resounded across the sky. Even after walking a few hundred meters away, Li Wei still felt the ground shake violently. A heat wave swept across. Peas. Thanks for the reward of Zukong 588 book coins. Thank book friends. Dayutian. Poor. No money. Humiliant. My bed is magical. Lonely. There is a mine at home. A touch of sadness. Book friends. Chi Ji Bao. Jin Jie. Crescent Moon Sky. Digital certificate. Recommended ticket for Tears of the Eiffel Tower. Chapter 44 Open black lens bracket. Che Guevara close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Afghanistan. In an unknown cave. Not taking a bath for more than 10 days makes Tony Stark look a little sloppy, and shaven, and a greasy uncle. The arc reactor placed in his chest allowed him to escape the kidnapping case. It doesn't look like a Jericho missile, said a man next to him. On the table, there is a new arc reactor built by Tony Stark overnight. This is a small arc reactor. Tony said, I have a big one at home, and the factory relies on him to generate electricity. He can suck the shrapnel in my body so that I can survive. What is the power? The man next to him asked. If I'm not wrong, 3 billion joules per second. Tony said. That's enough to make your heart beat for a lifetime. That's right. Tony nodded, taking out drawings from one corner. This is how we get out. Tony said. What is this? Look at it when it's flattened. Tony folded the drawings together, and a burly robot appeared on the drawings. Impressive. The man was a physicist, and he was surprised by Tony's creation. In the cave, Tony Stark has no concept of time. This allows them to make weapons surprisingly fast. Advertisement. At this time, a voice came from outside the door. Then, a group of terrorists rushed in. The leader is a bald head. He stroked the ring on his finger and walked to Tony's side. His finger uncovered Tony's thin clothes, revealing the arc reactor on his chest. Bows and arrows. The terrorist leader stared at Tony. Stark said, it was once a frightening weapon. They enable Genghis Khan to own territory from the Pacific to Ukraine. The area is twice the size of Alexander the Great in Greece and 4 times the size of the Roman Empire. But today, the terrorist leader walked to the table and took a look at the drawing above. This was the missile map Tony was ready to show them. Whoever has the latest Stark weapon can rule this land. Now, it's my turn. The terrorist leader stared at Tony Stark with cold eyes. Build a missile before tomorrow. An angel smiley sfutusel. You promise my heaven, then put me through hell. Chainsaw love go to holden me. Ween passion. Supprison, you can't break free. On the road, a Harley motorcycle was speeding, and the violent speed almost made the Harley fly. The damagesden, shot through the heart. Andy or to blame. Darling, you give love a bad name. Li Wei let out a heartbreaking shout, and stepped on the accelerator pedal with one foot. The soaring speed caused Li Wei's already chilled blood to boil. He couldn't help screaming into the distance. In 2 days, Li Wei took off the 6 bases of 10 rings. Advertisement. He fought all the way from Syria to Iraq, then traversed Iran to Afghanistan. The entire Middle East region is full of Li Wei's figure. Although Li Wei has repeatedly explained to the media that his destruction of the 10 rings base was purely revenge, no one believes it. The legend of the man in the cloak is now spreading in the Middle East. According to legend, the cloak man's fist can tear the earth. He is the nemesis of sin and the savior of the people. His appearance means the death of sin. A truck is driving on the highway. In the car, there are soldiers wearing camouflage uniforms. Damn, I can't stand the spooky weather here. An American soldier took a sip of a beer. Suddenly, a black shadow rushed past. Then came a loud roar. Damn it, what is that? The American soldier cursed, and found that the beer in his hand was gone. Noon. Li Wei appeared in a small town. Damn, steal, Guevara. Li Wei scolded. He bought a bottle of drink in the supermarket and found that his Harley was missing when he went out. Joe, you are really everywhere. Dear compatriots of the motherland, first of all we express our deep condolences to the compatriots who have suffered in Bekik village. Just now, an armed terrorist organization called 10 Rings carried out an inhumane destruction of the village of Bekaks. We strongly condemn this tragic behavior. Our homeland is suffering a series of damages from 10 Rings, and unfortunate things happen one after another. The terrorist forces of 10 Rings are spreading like an epidemic. The government will not wait to die. The Great People's Army swears to fight to the end for their homeland. An instant news message is playing on the supermarket TV. Advertisement. Hey, Li Wei walked into the supermarket and called the boss roar, do you know where Bekaki village is? Yes, go straight from here, then turn left, turn right. It's about 5 hours. The owner of the supermarket is a black man. Fortunately, the owner understands simple English. He gestured with his fingers in the air, and Li Wei nodded in a daze. Damn 10 Rings, the black boss scolded. In business, the most feared is unrest. If 10 Rings hits this place, everything he has will disappear. Li Wei walked out of the town, and after seeing no one around, he waved his hand and a locomotive appeared. This is a secret that Li Wei discovered 2 days ago, another usage of Saitama space. Can store non-living substances. Boom. The locomotive roared and galloped forward. About a child, Li Wei appeared in a mountainous area. Li Wei was lost. Damn it. Li Wei stepped on the accelerator, and the locomotive burst out into a black shadow. After driving for half an hour, Li Wei finally heard the sound of cannons. The sound of the cannon is very weak, it should be a long distance away from Li Wei. But no matter how far the distance is, for Li Wei, it is just the difference between 1 more jump and 2 more jumps. Li Wei stopped the locomotive and waited with his legs on the ground. With a boom, Li Wei rose into the sky and leapt towards the sound source. Peas. Thanks to Bai Feng Kixia, Achilles Heel Zelen, Superfan 123, Return of the Old, Beautiful Love in the Empty City, for setting the recommended votes of the world. Chapter 45 Open black lens bracket silver robot close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Bakak's village. At the moment, here is suffering a brutal massacre. Boom boom boom. The sound of the submachine gun was accompanied by the screams of the villagers. The tank shells can easily destroy the small houses here. The men were shot in rows, while the women and children were arrested. Put the woman and child into the truck. The terrorist leader Bakar shouted. Boom boom boom. Someone resisted, but they were the opponents of these terrorists. They were greeted by submachine gun bullets. Countless villagers fell in a pool of blood. Turn around. Stand up. The terrorists shouted, and the men shook their heads facing the wall with their hands in their hands. The next thing to greet them is the call of death. The women were crying, and the children were crying. The gunfire rang. Boom boom boom. Under the fierce gunfire, a figure fell from the sky. Boom. The ground burst and the dust rose. The smoke cleared, and a man in a yellow tights appeared. The white cloak swayed in the wind, and the red fists bombarded the terrorists. Boom. The fist rubbed the air and made a violent sonic boom. With a punch, everything in front of Li Wei was turned into rubble. Kill him. Bakar shouted. Boom boom boom. The submachine gun roared, and the dense bullets instantly covered Li Wei. Li Wei stepped forward, turning into a golden flash and disappearing in place. Damn it, where did it go? The terrorists were puzzled. Advertisement. There. Suddenly, a terrorist's voice sounded. A group of terrorists turned their heads to look, and saw the bald head appearing in front of a tank, and in the fear of the crowd, they lifted the tank and threw it towards them. Boom. The tank rushed over, and countless terrorists were smashed into flesh. Li Wei stepped forward and appeared in front of a group of terrorists. Boom. The fist blasted out, suddenly a house turned into rubble. This is because Li Wei was afraid of hurting the villagers here, so he deliberately reduced a lot of strength. Don't come, or kill them. The remaining terrorists threatened Li Wei with guns at the women's heads. Li Wei took a step forward and suddenly turned into a golden flash and rushed towards the terrorists. The terrorists didn't even have a chance to shoot, so they were lifted into the air by Li Wei. Bakar swallowed, and he got into the truck quietly. Fired, started, and the truck rushed out of Bekaki village. Damn it! What kind of monster was that just now, mutant? Bakar's hands were still trembling at the moment, and he stepped on the accelerator pedal to the bottom. He just wants to leave this ghost place now. Fortunately, the monster behind him did not follow. What Bakar didn't know was that Li Wei was sitting cross-legged on the truck, taking a bite with an apple in his hand. As the truck moved further and further away from the village of Bekak, Bakar's heart finally relaxed. Half an hour later, Bakar drove the truck into a valley. This is the base of 10 rings in Afghanistan. Seeing the members of the organization patrolling the valley entrance, Bakar stopped, opened the door and walked out. Hey, man, thank you for bringing me here. The feeling of the aftermath in Bakar's heart hadn't been released yet, and a loud voice behind him was shocked and pale. Bakar turned around. It really was that monster. Save. Advertisement. Bakar ran away. He just yelled a word. Before he even had time to turn around, Li Wei kicked him in the chest. With a dull sound, Bakar's chest sank in terror. The whole person flew backwards like a cannonball. Who? The patrolling terrorists pointed their guns at Li Wei. Li Wei took a step forward and shot out his fist. Boom. There was a loud roar, and the burst of fist wind destroyed the mouth of the valley in an instant. Li Wei stepped into the valley, peeled off the banana peel in his hand, and bit off more than half of the banana in one bite. This is the advantage of the storage function of Saitama Space. Li Wei is now completely a foodie. In the valley, in addition to a large number of terrorists, there are still countless tanks and helicopter gunships. As soon as Li Wei waved his hand, a large number of weapons in the valley disappeared. Boom. Suddenly, a gunshot sounded. The banana in Li Wei's hand exploded, and yellow mucus splashed on his cheeks. Boom bang bang. Then came fierce gunfire. Ordinary boxing. Li Wei punched. The fist rubbed the air and made a harsh sonic boom. Under a punch, the mountain wall about 100 meters high was instantly razed to the ground. The valley was bitten by God, and there was a gap of huge amounts of. The smoke is flying, splashing at any time. Whoosh. Suddenly, a harsh voice sounded. Li Wei turned his head to look, and a cannonball rushed towards him. Li Wei stretched out his hand and grabbed the shell. Boom. The shell exploded, and the impact force caused Li Wei to fly out, hitting his back heavily on the mountain wall. Advertisement. Boom bang bang. Missiles rushed towards Li Wei. Li Wei stood up, turned his head and neck, and patted the dust on his body. He kicked his legs on the ground and rose into the sky with a boom. Ordinary boxing. The fist blasted fiercely towards the valley below. Boom. With a deafening roar, the valley base of 10 rings was razed to the ground with a punch. A cloud of dust swept out to the surroundings. Looking down from above, an oval depression appeared in this mountain range. Falling on the ground, Li Wei put on his headphones. Music. The music sounded, and Li Wei was immersed in it. Boom. Suddenly, there was a boom behind him. Li Wei quickly turned around, and a burly figure came towards the attack. Boom. Li Wei punched out, and the burly figure flew out and hit the wall heavily. Big guy, let me see what you are. Li Wei stepped over. It was a burly silver robot. The burly robot raised its hand, and a fiery flame spurted out. Li Wei blasted out with a punch, and the burly robot flew out, hitting the ground for several tens of meters before stopping. Li Wei flew up and came to the side of the burly robot. Under Li Wei's attack, the burly robot had fallen apart, revealing the face of a middle-aged man. Wait, this guy is a bit familiar. The middle-aged man's face gave Li Wei a sense of familiarity, and he looked at the fallen robot. This guy, not. Peas. Thanks to book friends, travelers, one day 123, feel Scorpio, photovoltaic youth, love to read the novel XS 520, poor, no money, old cat 737, Jared, Shu Chenyong, book friends, blazing sky for the recommended votes. Chapter 46 Open black lens bracket 10 million close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Tony Stark. That's right, this guy is Mr. Tony Stark. The steel battle suit that was broken by Li Wei's two fists next to him is not Tony Stark's first-generation battle suit, Mark I, made by using limited resources in the cave. Li Wei scratched his head. Fortunately, Mr. Tony Stark had the luck of the Marvel world and was not beaten to death by him. Otherwise it will be in trouble. After all, Iron Man is the trend leader of the Avengers Alliance in the next 10 years. Without Iron Man, I don't know how the plot will change. Li Wei's advantage, the perspective of God, will also disappear. This is not what Li Wei wants to see. After carrying Mr. Tony Stark to a safe place, Li Wei left. He still has a business to do, so he won't send Mr. Stark home. The Presidential Palace of Afghanistan. Arms. Isn't this what our military minister should do? The President of Afghanistan is a middle-aged man, meticulously dressed in a fitted suit. Mr. President, I think you should go out and take a look. I don't think Mr. Minister can decide, said the president's assistant. Well, then I will go and see what kind of armament really surprised my assistant. The president walked out of the presidential palace with his assistants and led a group of soldiers to a military camp. As soon as he entered the military camp, the president was shocked by the mountains of weapons in the camp. How many weapons do you need to make a hill? The eyes of the soldiers around were shining, and their worn-out weapons should have been lost long ago. Mr. President, these are the latest weapons of Stark Industries. It is conservatively estimated that they are worth several billions. The assistant's reminder made the president understand why the Secretary of Military Affairs was afraid to decide. Afghanistan is one of the least developed countries and one of the poorest countries in the world. The scarcity of armaments makes this country an active area for terrorists, not to mention the latest weapons of Stark Industries, even ordinary armaments, they may not be able to afford it. Advertisement. On top of the mountain of arms, sat a man in tights. The president is him. He said he would sell these weapons to us. The assistant said. Really? He bid a lot. 10 million. Li Wei's voice sounded before the president's voice. Oh, yes, it's US dollars. Li Wei flashed away and came to the president. In an instant, the guns of the surrounding soldiers all aimed at Li Wei. Don't be nervous, I believe Mr. Cloak is not malicious. The president waved, and the surrounding soldiers put away their weapons. The Mantleman has recently made a splash in this region of the Middle East, how could he not know? According to the performance of the Cloak Man in the video, it is impossible for the soldiers around him to stop him. $10 million. The president looked at Li Wei. The price is not too expensive, but too cheap. The most recent more than 10 tanks of Stark Industries in the front row alone are worth more than 10 million US dollars, not to mention the mountains of weapons in the back. Helicopters, anti-tank guns, rocket launchers. Yes, you didn't say that, you heard it wrong. 10 million can't be bought at a loss, and you can't be fooled. As long as 10 million, you can take it home. Okay, deal. The president readily agreed. Although Afghanistan is poor, he can still get $10 million. Moreover, these armaments are just like what the assistant said, conservatively estimated to be tens of billions, and he really can't think of a reason for his refusal. The sun is hanging high in the sky, and the heat is scorching the earth. Tony Stark walked for a long time, and he felt like he was dying. The bones all over his body seemed to fall apart. Tony Stark remembers that when he escaped from the terrorists' cave, he was buried by the collapsed cave. Although he escaped by relying on the steel battle suit, he seemed to be knocked out by a bald head. He didn't know the next thing. The bald head is a terrorist. Tony thought to himself, but thought it was impossible. If it were a terrorist, Tony didn't think he would survive. Is it an illusion caused by being too tired? Advertisement. There may be this, but what's the clear picture in my mind? Also, what happened to the clear fist mark on the steel battle suit he made? Tony languished, staggering and almost falling to the ground. His throat was burning fiercely, and the weak Tony didn't have the energy to think about bald head. He shook his head and forced himself to become energetic. Now, he just wants to drink a sip of water. Then I ate a burger beautifully. Boom boom boom. At this time, the helicopter in the sky attracted Tony's attention. Seeing the sign on the helicopter, Tony was delighted. Ah, I am here, ha ha ha. The helicopter landed and a group of soldiers came out. As the Joy Jeep fun. Colonel James Rhodes stepped forward and said, "Will you take my car next time?" ... May I ask, who decorated my room like this? After returning to the New York villa, Li Wei looked at his room with hands on hips. Is this still my own room? The rooms are neatly organized and even decorated in colorful. The most important thing is that the overhead chandelier is green. Li Wei hates this color. Is it me? A crisp voice sounded behind Li Wei. Li Wei turned his head to see that this was a teenage girl. She was slender, fair-skinned, and had a small face. His dark eyes seemed to sparkle with stars, and his small, flat nose had an honest, cute and affectionate look. She draped her smooth and jet black hair over her shoulders, and tied 2 braids with sky blue straps. Li Wei looked suspiciously at Max behind the little girl. Max knew what Li Wei wanted to ask. He shook his head and said he didn't know. Are you? Li Wei's brain started to work, but he didn't remember that he knew an Asian girl. Advertisement. Brother Li Wei, have you forgotten me? I am Xiao Yu. The little girl jumped over and took Li Wei's hand. Little, Xiao Yu. Isn't Xiao Yu a boy? Are you really a little fish? Li Wei still couldn't believe it. This was a totally different person. Definitely. The little fish nodded his head like a peck. 10 minutes later, Li Wei finally accepted this fact. This villa welcomed the third guest. Wait. Li Wei rushed into his room as if he had discovered a new world. As expected, the $200,000 he had stolen was gone. You are really a ruin to me. Li Wei scolded and walked out of the room. Fortunately, he made $10 million in Afghanistan, otherwise eating would be a problem. Now that there is another mouth, Peter, this guy still comes to eat dinner from time to time. Brother Li Wei, I did not spend the money alone. The little fish seemed to have done something wrong, her little head hanging down, and stars twinkling in her eyes. Having said this, Max turned his head consciously. He stroked his suit, which was of good quality. Hey, Li, show you this. Peter was so excited that he was sitting next to Li Wei holding a computer. I have installed dozens of monitors around the villa, and I will never be afraid of anyone monitoring us again. Peter's computer is showing the surveillance situation around the villa. Fortunately, this money is not spent unclearly. Peas. Thanks to Superfan 123, Maple Blood Moon, Book Friends, 799,450,427, The Killing Flower, Ghost 775, Boulay, My Bed is Magical, Book Friends, Private Visits from Underworld, Star Dream, TRR11, SSGSNLZ for the recommendation ticket. Chapter 47 Open black lens bracket Secret meeting close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Time. It's night. Location. Confidential. Person. Protege doesn't want to tell. This is a room that is not spacious, at least to the naked eye. The light in the room was dim, as if the electricity bill was cut off. At the end of the long conference table, a silhouette of a figure can be seen faintly. The figure is wearing a suit, hidden in the shadow above the chest. After 10 seconds, holographic projections lit up on each seat of the long conference table. These holographic projections are almost the same, none of them can see the part above the chest, only the code name is displayed. Let's start when everyone is there. The magnetic voice of the man in black sounded. They conduct a secret meeting through this remote holographic projection. A few days ago, Nick Fury created a file with the highest level of file. The voice of the person in black in the room sounded, I checked this file. This is a very powerful super ability person. Nick Fury has a very high evaluation of him. Fortunately, Nick Fury has not dealt with him. If this is super ability, if the person develops into our agent, then it will undoubtedly produce huge amounts of help for our follow-up plan. I need someone to reach him. Observe his ability, observe his style, observe everything about him. As you wish, I will arrange this matter. A voice came from the holographic projection number 6. We have contacted 10 rings, they have agreed to the plan, but. In the holographic projection number 3, a voice hesitated. Just what? The man in black asked. They ask for too high a price. Number 3 replied. Give them as much as they want. At present, all resources are allocated to this plan first. Yes. What's wrong? You seem to want to say something. The man in black asked. Advertisement. During my contact with 10 rings, I discovered that this organization is not a normal terrorist organization. They seem to have hidden ulterior purposes. I am afraid of raising tigers. Number 3 replied. No matter how strong Beast is, it's just Beast. The next question. Said the man in black. At present, our agent has completely penetrated 2 aircraft carriers, and the remaining one has been more than half completed. Projection 2 said. Very good, but we need to speed up. If you don't make a move, you will be killed. ... Mr. Li Wei, she is yours now. Andrea left happily. Li Wei bought the villa for $3 million. Housing prices in the suburbs of New York City are not expensive, in fact, it is equivalent to a rural area. The price is about 1,000 yuan per square meter. The villa was nearly 3,000 square meters in size, and Li Wei bought it for $3 million. The landlord Andrea was not too happy to mention it. In the next few days, Li Wei was renovating the villa. The most satisfying thing for Li Wei is the large swimming pool in the manor. Wait, my barbecue. Xiao Yu's voice sounded. It turned out that Max had snatched her barbecue, and she went to chase with her teeth and claws. Since this large swimming pool was repaired, Li Wei found out that he fell in love with the party. At the pool, there are Peter and Hire. Hire today wears an enchanting bikini. The slender waist outlines a graceful curve. After talking with Shield's braised egg boss, Li Wei was not hiding Max's identity. Anyway, he couldn't hide it, so he was just a bit more open. Only Peter's identity has not been revealed yet. Definitely, it is only a matter of time before being known by S.H.I.E.L.D. After all, Electro-Optic, Bald Cape Man, and Spider-Man often team up to fight monsters together. Peter appeared next to Li Wei and Dianguangren as an ordinary person. Didn't this tell S.H.I.E.L.D. that he was a Spider-Man? S.H.I.E.L.D. will discover Peter's identity sooner or later, or it has already been discovered by now. Advertisement. However, being known by S.H.I.E.L.D. is not a problem, as long as it is not exposed to the public. After all, not everyone has the courage and enough backing to make his identity known to the world like Mr. Tony Stark. As for Ms. Hire next to her, 1000% is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. There is a reason why Li Wei did not expose her. If no one monitors Li Wei's group of ability, Chief Layden will not sleep at night. If you can't sleep, Director Layden will definitely try to do something for Li Wei. This is what Li Wei didn't want to see. Enemies on the bright side are much easier to deal with than enemies in the dark. Hey, Li, come and see this. At this time, Peter handed the computer to Li Wei. On the computer, a video with more than 100 million views is being played. Rumors of fierce fighting between the army and unknown enemies on the campus of Culver University continue to spread. 2 freshmen witnessed the whole incident. That thing is super big, like a green giant. In the video, 2 students were interviewed. One of the students was a reporter from the school newspaper. He took this video with his mobile phone, the reporter said. In the video, the flames are burning. The tanks turned into scrap iron, and the cars were lying on the ground, telling people that this was a fierce battle. What kind of enemy is it that can smash a tank like this? There was a thunderstorm in the central forest, which delayed the search for the mysterious Hulk. ... It looks like a big funny guy has appeared. Peter said. It's more than interesting, it's a terrifying guy. Li Wei secretly said. Hulk. A big bug in the Marvel world, invincible defense and power. With Hulk's anger, his power will continue to rise, and there is no upper limit. Advertisement. I don't know if Hulk can resist his serious punch. Li Wei suddenly looked forward to it. For the story of Invincible Hulk, Li Wei actually doesn't know much about it. Only know a rough outline. At the current time, Banner should have contacted his netizen, Mr. Lan, and started treatment. The treatment process went smoothly, but was taken away by General Rose, who was involved in the incident. Although Banner was captured, another monster was born. Emil Bronsky is the king of special forces under General Ross. He has become stronger through the serum, but he is still far inferior to the Hulk. Out of the desire for absolute power, Emil Bronsky lost his mind and threatened Mr. Blue to make him like the Hulk. And Mr. Lan is actually a lunatic in his heart, or a scientist is mad. He also wanted to see what Emil Bronsky would become, half pushing and half agreeing. Then, Mr. Lan began to transform Emil Bronsky with Banner's serum. Then, the monster, Abomination, was born. Abomination is more cruel than the Hulk, wantonly destroying cities and killing innocent people. We have work to do, Li. Peter stood up excitedly. Li Wei glanced at Peter and noticed a warlike light flashing in this guy's eyes. Peter's hostility seems to have become very serious recently. Li Wei secretly said, "This is very abnormal. Peas. Thanks to Qingliu, hunting, the cool Yusheng, the old cat 737, the heart of the sword, the little 2B who loves to sleep, Wu Xie, the superfan 123, Chu Shang for the recommendation votes. 21%. Chapter 48, Venom Spider vs. Abomination. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Parker, your uniform is very cool. Manhattan, Street 121. The streets are feasting and busy. On top of a skyscraper, 3 figures stand here. On the left, Max is wearing a tight uniform. Nicknamed Dianguangren, Dianwang, Thunderman. The citizens of New York City have a lot of imagination. In the middle is Li Wei. A pair of dead fish eyes made him seem awake. On the right is Peter in a spider suit. It's just that his uniform is black today. Definitely, it's not just cool, I feel great. Peter stretched out his fist and said with a look of intoxication. Li Wei glanced at Peter. If he guessed right, Peter's black spider suit should be Venom. Venom, an extraterrestrial creature, a symbiotic creature. With the meteorite coming to the Earth. In its independent film, the Venom was brought to Earth artificially. But now the Venom is coexisting with Peter, it should be the version that came to Earth with the meteorite. It is the version in the animation. Venom is a good thing. It parasitizes on the host, strengthens the host's character, and gives the host a powerful ability. Definitely, will also dig into the dark side of the host's heart. If the host is righteous, the Venom will transform the host into a powerful superhero. But if the host is evil, it will turn the host into a devil-like existence. Parker, do you feel uncomfortable? Li Wei asked casually. No, I have never felt better. Peter said. Do you feel that you have inexhaustible power? A lot stronger. Advertisement. Yes, Li, that's how it feels, great. Parker, you have to be careful. Peter turned his head and asked puzzledly, what? Parker, I can feel that your black suit has life, Li Wei said. How could it be? Peter couldn't believe it. Yes, Parker, I can feel it, it is sucking in roar, it is jumping for joy, it is strengthening your power, and it is also devouring your thoughts. Impossible. Peter shouted subconsciously. Let's wait and see Parker, it exists deep in your brain, and you will feel it. Li Wei didn't argue with Peter either. It shouldn't be the first time this guy has integrated with Venom. Now that the violence in his character is beginning to show up, he will always find the Venom abnormal. That guy is so ugly, let's go and teach him a lesson. Peter walked away on a swing. On the street, a big gray monster was on a rampage. Hate. Give me a stronger opponent. Abomination raised a car and threw it down at the soldier who attacked it in front of him. Hey, big guy, put down the toy in your hand. Following Peter's voice, 2 sprays of spider slime sprayed out, sticking to the hatred head. The super sticky spider slime was torn off as soon as it was hated, but it was a black fist that greeted him. Little guy. Abomination grabbed little Spider-Man's fist and threw it to the left. Peter rolled over in the air and climbed steadily on the wall of the house. Boom. At this moment, disgust rushed towards the little Spider-Man, picked up a car and threw it at the little Spider-Man. Peter jumped to Abomination, sprayed spider slime with both hands to hold the car, and then slammed it down at Abomination. Boom. With a boom, Detest was knocked to the ground. Big guy, grab it with your hands. Peter sprayed slime, binding his Abomination hands and feet. Roar. With a roar of hatred, he suddenly jumped from the ground and punched Peter on the body. Boom. Peter flew backwards like a cannonball, smashing a deep hole in the ground. Advertisement. It feels great. Peter got up from the pit, a force was emerging in his body. Little Spider-Man, go to hell. At this time, hatred had fallen from the sky, and his fist bombarded Peter. Boom. The dust was flying, and Peter had already avoided. Abomination continued to attack, slamming a punch at Peter. Peter stepped forward and punched out, his fists and hatred colliding in the air. Boom. This punch was evenly divided. He attacks again, but Peter hides behind him. Peter shot a stick of spider slime on the face of Abomination, and he leapt up and kicked towards the head of Abomination. The hatred reacted quickly. It grabbed Peter's foot, hit the ground several times, and threw it into the sky. Abomination kicked his legs on the ground and leapt up with a boom, holding his hands into a hammer shape and smashing it down at Peter. Peter grunted and fell straight through the air, smashing into a big hole in the ground. Lee, aren't we on it yet? On the building, Max asked. Don't worry, Peter is not defeated so easily. Besides, I'm waiting for a guy. Li Wei's gaze shot towards the helicopter in the distance. The initial state of hatred is indeed stronger than Hulk, both in attack and defense. In the movie, when the battle begins, Hulk is hung and beaten by abhorrence. But don't forget, anger is Hulk's weapon. The more angry, the higher Hulk's attack power. So much so that at the end, the hatred was completely crushed by Hulk, and the head was blown. What Li Wei wants is Hulk at this time and in this state. Sora has the strength, but can't find the opponent, it is very lonely. Below, the battle between Spider-Man and Abomination continued. Round offensive power, defense power, hatred is better than Black Spider's. Even self-healing ability is slightly stronger. Advertisement. But hatred did not crush Spider-Man's power. Spider-Man relied on spider telepathy, and the two were inextricably fought. But over time, Spider-Man began to lose ground. On the street, an embarrassed figure appeared. This guy's head is abnormally bloated, like a deformity, and his skin also shows an unnatural color. This guy is no one else, but Mr. Lan, who healed Banner and transformed Emil Bronsky. After being knocked out by hatred, Mr. Lan and Banner's serum collided. The blood infected his brain and he mutated. Mr. Lan got part of Banner's power, but most importantly, his brain has been improved. Now, he has a complete plan in his mind. He wants to use Banner serum to create an army of super soldiers. Then, build a new kingdom. But the most important thing now is to leave this place of right and wrong. Boom. At this moment, a figure flew over and hit Mr. Lan's body. Sir, you have to apologize. Through the strengthening of Banner serum, Mr. Lan not only gained strength and mental power. He also became irritable. Go away. Peter was angry. After the Venom's blessing, he was also unceremonious, and directly violently pushed Mr. Lan away. Little guy, you better apologize to me, otherwise. Before Mr. Lan finished speaking, Peter's fist hit his face. The power of the Venom spider was so powerful that it directly shot Mr. Lan away and smashed into the house fiercely. Peas. Thank you for a light scale. Ice Blade Ice Heart, XYZ Xiaonuo, Yueling Death Wound 1111, Yan, Death Hole Zelen, Xiaobai Veteran, Pikachu, Old Cat 737, Regional Transmission Officer, Dream Sauce Purple. Alternatives, Old People Return, Basics in Place, Book Friends, UIYGFI Everyone, Shade, The Heart of the Empty City, Chongmin, Official Comments, Nan Yan Bei Miao, Qian Yi Meng's recommended votes. Thanks to Lu Q starting point for reading 100 book coins for rewards. Chapter 49 Open Black Lens Bracket Hulk, Come Out Close Black Lens Bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Roar. A roar caught Peter's attention, and he turned to look, only to see a monster rushing towards him. Boom. The monster punched Peter on the cheek, and Peter snorted, and the whole figure flew upside down like a broken kite, slamming his back against the wall. Boy, I said you should apologize. The monster's eyes exuded anger, and it was Mr. Lan. At this moment, Mr. Lan's whole body was swollen, like a shrunken hatred. But his head was a big circle, and it looked incongruent. You look really ugly. Peter stood up from the ground. There is a wolf in front of him and a tiger behind him, and in front of him is the monster incarnate of Mr. Lan. Behind is hatred. It seems that my transformation was very successful, Mr. Soldier. Mr. Lan looked at hatred. If you don't want to die, get out of me, he is mine. Disgust rushed towards the little Spider-Man. Boom. At this moment, there was an explosion of lightning in the sky, and a thunderbolt fell, hitting hatred. Under the power of thunder, the ground exploded and rubble splashed. Ah! He roared in pain, and then another thunder and lightning hit it, hitting it. Max floats in the sky, and the electric current pulsates around him, like the god of thunder and lightning. Thor. I'm not alone. Peter leapt towards Mr. Lan and kicked Mr. Lan in the chest. The power of the Venom spider was extremely terrifying. Mr. Lan flew out backwards and smashed into the house. The falling bricks instantly drowned him. Mr. Lan roared with anger, jumped out suddenly, kicked his legs on the ground, rushed towards Peter with a boom, and slammed his fist towards Peter. Advertisement. Peter strode forward, and then punched. Boom. The two fists collided in the air. After all, Mr. Lan's head was only infected by Banner serum, and he only gained part of Banner's strength. In front of the Venom spider, he was a bit close. Boom. Mr. Lan snorted, and the whole person flew out like a cannonball, smashed into a building, and penetrated the building. Peter leapt over, and Mr. Lan quickly got up from the ground, and the two wrestled together. On the other side, the battle between Max and Abomination also kicked off. Boom boom boom. There was a loud explosion, and the dense thunder electric current rushed towards the Abomination, hitting it. I am invincible. With a roar of hatred, let the thunder strike him. Boom. Abomination rushed toward the building, and then leapt fiercely, leaping towards Max in the sky. Go to death. Abomination slammed Max with a punch, the electric current jumped, Max disappeared into a burst of electric light, and the abomination punch was empty. The one who died should be you. Max's voice sounded behind his hatred. His hiss, the electric light flourished, and the electric current gathered together, forming a thunder dragon bombarding the hatred. Roar. He roared with pain, and fell straight down from the air. Boom. A loud roar resounded through the clouds, and a huge crater with a diameter of more than 10 meters appeared on the ground while the dust was flying. The electric current vibrated, and Max appeared beside the giant pit. Shoo. At this moment, a tearing air sounds came. What followed was a dark shadow. The black shadow is an iron pipe, so fast that it pierced Max's body in an instant. Abomination leapt out and pinched Max's head. Your electric current doesn't work for me. Really? Max's eyes burst into fierce lightning. Advertisement. Immediately afterwards, a powerful electric current burst out from him. His hiss. These electric currents filled the surroundings. Boom. The electric current touched the ground, and the ground exploded. Max stretched out his hand, and a thunder halberd appeared in his hand. There was no fear of hatred, and his fist struck Max. Shoo. With a sharp and piercing voice, the thunder halberd instantly pierced the abomination's chest before the abomination fist hit Max. It hates pain, but its defense is amazing, and the thunder halberd burned a scorch mark on its chest. There was surprise in Max's eyes. Even the thunder halberd, which could melt steel easily, could only leave a scorch mark on this monster. Boom. The moment Max lost his senses, a fist of hatred hit his head, and Max turned into an electric light and rushed out behind him. Boom. Abomination's legs slammed on the ground, and the ground exploded. It soared into the sky and leapt towards Max. Boom, boom, boom. A series of smashing sounds sounded, and the destructive power of hatred was amazing, and everything that stood in front of it was destroyed. ... Why haven't you come out yet? On a street lamp by the road, Li Wei was sitting cross-legged on it. With his head resting on his arm, he looked bored. Peter and Max have opponents, but he doesn't. Hulk didn't come out again, he was ready to test his fist with hatred. ... Let me go. On the helicopter, Banner said. What are you talking about? Betty stared at Banner. Do you think you can control it? Not to control, but to use it. Banner said. Just have those two weird guys, you don't need to act. General Rose said. Presumably you can see that these four guys are at best evenly matched, and it is estimated that they will not be able to tell the victory or defeat until dark. If this continues, the city will be ruined. Advertisement. When I join the battle, I can have an overwhelming advantage. Banner said. It has been suppressed by drugs in your body. What if it doesn't come out? Betty said. No, Hulk won't put me in a dangerous place. Banner was confident. We created this thing. Let me go. Banner looked at General Rose. After a few seconds of thought, General Rose patted Banner on the shoulder. Be careful. After Banner and Betty kissed affectionately, he jumped and leapt down. Banner stretched out his hands and fell straight down. Hulk, come out. Banner shouted. However, Banner found that the Hulk in his body did not respond. And many more. Boom. Betty's concerns were correct. Banner hit the ground directly, deeply embedded in the surface. Hulk didn't come out. Oh my god. Betty on the helicopter covered her mouth. Boom. At this moment, there was a blast, and a fist broke through the gravel. Roar. Hulk let out a roar and jumped out of the ground. You finally came. Li Wei in the distance stood up from the street lamp. Peas. Thank you Qingliu. Lonely, abandoning the past, Luguang Bookstore, Yasuo, Book Friends, Old Cold, Routines, Recommended Votes from the End of the World. Chapter 50 Open black lens bracket World disturbance Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. With Hulk, a muscular man who joined the battle group, the situation quickly turned around. Mr. Lan is now being slapped unilaterally by Spider-Man, and his head is almost blown. It now expresses its deep regret. Why should it provoke this damn black spider? Hulk and hate two big guys in the most primitive melee, punch to the flesh. Max puts out electric discharges from time to time, and disgust is quickly at a disadvantage. In the end, hatred and Mr. Lan were very helplessly subdued. Hey, Hulk. Li Wei came to Hulk. Before he could finish his words, Hulk roared and hit Li Wei's head with a punch in his backhand. Li Wei rushed out like a cannonball. Boom. Li Wei smashed into a building, and then penetrated out again. It penetrated 3 buildings, and then hit the street for several tens of meters before stopping. It hurts. As expected of Hulk, Li Wei patted the dust on his body. He kicked his legs on the ground, and with a boom, a spider web-like crack appeared on the ground, and Li Wei rose up into the sky. Li Wei's wishful thinking never succeeded, and Hulk wouldn't let him go. After becoming Hulk, Banner knew he couldn't live a peaceful life. He will continue to flee. Seeing Banner's disappearance, Li Wei felt a little regretful. In a corner of the street, a woman in a trench coat hides in the shadows. In the shadows, I can't see what a woman looks like. It can only be seen that the woman's figure is very good, slender. Her eyes were always on Spider-Man, piercing. Spider-Man, I found you. Advertisement. A woman's voice does not contain any emotion. Then, the woman disappeared. On the distant mansion stood a man wearing a steel battle suit. Tony Stark. Now his steel battle suit has been upgraded and updated to Mark III. It's him. Looking at the harmless bald head on the street scratching his head, Tony recognized it at a glance. It was the bald head who stunned him in the terrorist cave. With the increase of extraordinary events everywhere, as the number of people with super strength increases. After Tony went through the cave incident and owned a steel battle suit, his mind began to change. Before experiencing the abduction in Afghanistan, Tony was basically an irresponsible and immature older child. In the cave, Ethan is the person who has the greatest influence on Tony. He died to help Tony delay time. Before his death, Tony advised Ethan not to give up hope for his wife and children. Ethan said that these were arranged, and his death was to see them in heaven. And Ethan's wife and children died under the weapons invented by Stark Industries. After all this cynical rich and prodigal son seemed to have something in his heart. He has agreed to the request of Nick Fury, the commander of S.H.I.E.L.D. They are preparing to form an organization composed of super ability people to defend the order of the Earth. He took a fancy to the big green guy. He had learned about Banner's information from the S.H.I.E.L.D. database. After seeing the powerful power of Bald Cape Man, Electric Light Man, and Spider-Man, Tony thought it was imminent. He has to find this big green guy as soon as possible and convince it to join them. But after observing the battle and seeing the wildness of the big green guy, Tony thought it was not an easy task. In the next few days, the video of the battle of 6 super ability men in New York City became a storm that swept the world. The special effects are like shooting a sci-fi blockbuster. People have discussed the good and evil of these super ability people. Advertisement. They acted unscrupulously, and the city was destroyed. Are they heroes? Will they abuse their power? Does the country have a way to restrict them? Will they cause harm to society? These are all existing problems. People are panicking and fearing this powerful force. They are heroes, especially Spider-Man. I like that little guy. A big guy said in front of the camera. I like Spider-Man, his ability is super cool. A child in a spider battlesuit dances in front of the camera. I hate them, my home was destroyed by them, and I was admitted to the hospital. I want to sue them. An injured person lying in the hospital commented. The Bald Cape Man is a hero. He saved me in our village. A villager in a village in Afghanistan. The Mantleman is a kind man. He sold us a batch of weapons at low prices and helped us fight the terrorists here. He is a good man. If your country does not welcome you, you can come to Afghanistan. The Afghan people will always welcome you. You, the president of Afghanistan. These current discussions have nothing to do with Li Wei. He was sitting in a hall, wearing a battle uniform, staring blankly at the ceiling, and everyone in the field was blushing with quarrel. This is S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters. All the people present are undoubtedly big shots. The director of the Egg, the former director, the high-level agent, and even members of the Security Council participated in it. The argument is naturally that the actions of Li Wei and the likes of super ability caused the destruction of the city and caused casualties. However, the situation is fairly good as that the director of the Eggs maintains a neutral attitude. If it were not for the neutral attitude of the director of the Eggs, these council members would even want to include the Heroes Association under the supervision of the council. They organize and direct the members of the Heroes Association. These politicians all have a face. In fact, they have already mentioned it, but they were rejected by the director. The attitude of the director of Salted Eggs is that this is within the scope of S.H.I.E.L.D. The issue of the Heroes Association should be resolved by S.H.I.E.L.D. Advertisement. Li Wei yawned boredly. The Heroes Association is a free organization, and no external force can influence it. Mr. Cloak, what do you think of these problems? A member of the council looked at Li Wei, and these council members currently do not know Li Wei's identity. Of all the people present, only Chief Marinated, Widow's sister, Hawkeye, and Phil Coulson knew about it. What? Li Wei came back to his senses. Mr. Li Wei, what do you think of the members of your organization and a few monsters fighting in the urban area, causing damage to the city and causing a large number of casualties? The members of the council were somewhat displeased. Li Wei fished his ears and flicked at the council member. Just when this council member was about to get angry, Li Wei spoke. Do you want me to have a good talk with those monsters? Hey, brother, Those big shots don't allow us to fight in the city, let's go to the suburbs to fight. Li Wei stared at the council member. The result of this is that the monster punched me in the head and yelled, "Idiot." Ha ha ha. An unscrupulous laugh came. Li Wei doesn't need to look at it to know who it is, and who dares to laugh out loud in such an occasion, besides Tony Stark. Who else? Seeing everyone's eyes on him, Tony said, "Well, it seems I disturbed you. You continue." Li Wei's gaze swept over the people present, and finally stopped on the council member. He said, "War always lurks in danger. We can't give up fighting because of this, right? It's lunch time. Goodbye." Li Wei waved to everyone and walked out of this room. He's right, it's lunch time, I have to go back for lunch. Then Tony got up and left the room. Peas. Thank you for the official comment. I just want to salt fish. I want to kill people. X. Super fanatic. Flightless helicopter. I am so boring. 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 I am so bored. I want to kill people. The starry sky. My bed is magical. Lunatic 6666. In an instant. I can't see clearly. Ixon. Genos. Recommended votes from book friends. Chapter 51. Open black lens bracket. Venom spider. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The departure of Li Wei and Tony caused the meeting to go unhappy. In the end, there were only 5 people left in the conference room. Director of Marinated Eggs, Widow Sister, Phil Coulson, agent of Marvel Novice Village, as well as Hawkeye Barton and former director Alexander Pierce. It's a headache, these super ability people. The director of the Salted Egg felt powerless. Nick, the times are going wild. Alexander Pierce said in a pun. However, I always believe that you can do your best, just like when I handed S.H.I.E.L.D. to you. Director Layden nodded. Phil Coulson, agent, tomorrow you go to Portland to find Agent Daisy. Let her come back, we have to be prepared to deal with everything. Yes, Chief. Phil Coulson nodded meticulously. Lee, you are right. This uniform is alive, damn it, he is trying to swallow my mind. As soon as Li Wei walked out of the S.H.I.E.L.D. building and changed his clothes, Peter called. Peter's tone was full of anxiety. Listen to Parker, this uniform has his weakness. Before Li Wei's words were finished, Peter's shout rang. Hey, Parker. Li Wei could only hear Parker's shout. At the same time, on a church bell tower. Parker is fighting with the Venom spider suit on his body. Ah, Peter yelled, and he tore the black spider suit on his body vigorously, but he couldn't pull it off anyway. He can easily lift the power of a car, which is useless in front of this black spider suit. Ah, Peter slammed his head against the iron clock. The iron bell made a boom sound. To Peter's surprise, the black spider suit under the bell made him tear a hole. Peter struck hard against the iron clock with a loud boom. Advertisement. Sure enough, under the sound of the bell, the black spider suit was torn apart by him. This black spider suit, as if there is life, spreads black tentacles on Peter, and seems to want to merge with Peter again. But Peter won't give him a chance. Ah, Peter roared, tearing apart the black spider suit. Peter didn't know. Under the clock tower, someone opened the door and walked into the clock tower. This person is Edward Bullock. Because Peter broke through his fake photo incident, Bullock is now unemployed, and there will be no newspapers to hire him in the future. He hated Peter Parker, so he came to church and prayed that God could kill Peter Parker. The strange chime of the clock tower attracted Brock, and he opened the door and walked in. On the clock tower, a man was roaring. Suddenly, a cloud of black liquid fell from above and fell on Brock's shoulder. The black liquid spread to the black tentacles, and Brock was taken aback and took off his clothes and threw them aside. At this time, with the help of the bell, Peter completely broke free of the black spider suit. Weak Peter lay on the ground, he broke free of the black spider suit, and he won. The black spider uniform turned into a cloud of black liquid, which ran down. As soon as Bullock took off his clothes, he was in shock, and the black liquid enveloped him. In an instant, Brock knew everything. I know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Spider-Man. Brock, who was transformed into a Venom spider, looked up at Peter Parker on the clock tower. He showed an evil smile and left here. Now, he and Venom are still in the integration period. He didn't want to fight Spider-Man. Lee, what is that thing? On the way back, Peter asked Li Wei. Li Wei was still a step late, and the Venom disappeared with his host. That thing is an extraterrestrial life, and it should have come to the Earth with a meteorite. Advertisement. This kind of life cannot survive on Earth alone, it can only be combined with humans or other life, and survive by drawing nutrients from the host. This kind of thing is called venom. It's a parasite. Generally, a host possessed by venom will soon deplete and die. Only when it matches the venom can it become a real venom. In this state, the venom will give the host Superman-like power. I think you should have felt this power before. Li Wei explained. Very strong, but if I were to choose again, I would still take him off. Peter later said with fear, becoming a venom spider, he did a lot of things that now seem confused. Parker, we have to find him and destroy it, otherwise this thing is a trouble. Li Wei said. When they came to the villa, Xiao Yu was training with Hire. After a few days of getting along, Xiao Yu and Hire have become good friends who talk about everything. Xiao Yu is just a teenage girl. Whereas Hire's opponent of this professional agent, she soon brought this SHIELD agent home. What are you doing? Li Wei asked. I asked Hire's sister to teach me judo, and I will also become a heroine in the future. Xiao Yu said. What is good about judo? These fist-embroidered legs are useless. Li Wei sat down on the sofa. How could it be useless? Li, would you dare to try with me? Hire looked at Li Wei. Forget it, I don't like violence. Li Wei scratched his head. Li, are you scared? Excitement is the leftovers of our ancestors. Do you think it can be useful to me? Are you still afraid of a woman, afraid that I will eat you? Since you want to compete with me so much, I will meet your requirements. Li Wei also wants to try the agent at home. Several people stepped aside, Hire shouted and rushed towards Li Wei. Advertisement. Straight punch. Uppercut. Sweep the legs. Strike the chest. One by one was blocked by Li Wei. I said these fist-embroidered legs are useless. Li Wei grabbed Hire's attacking fist and grinned. Yes. Hire jumped, his slender and round legs clamped Li Wei's head, and he slammed Li Wei to the ground. Li Wei was a little surprised, his arm hit the ground, and his body writhed. In addition to slender and smooth legs, Hire's legs were also strong and powerful. She continued to clamp Li Wei's head, embraced Li Wei's bald head with both hands, and lifted her back. Li Wei put his finger on the ground, and the whole person turned around in the air and landed steadily. Attack. Don't let me just think I'm a woman. Hire said. Well, then I'll take it seriously. As soon as Li Wei's voice fell, Hire attacked. She dashed forward with a stride, and hit Li Wei in the chest with a flying kick. However, this flying kick of Hire was empty. Li Wei disappeared. It's over. Li Wei appeared behind Hire and patted Hire on the shoulder. Wow, brother Li Wei is still great. Xiao Yu clapped his hands excitedly. Peas. Thank you Nan Yan Beimiao, the Prodigal Group, Book Friends, Yasuo, Shiranui Wu, L, Achilles Point Zelen, Lu Lin Hermit, Deity 9, Great Wind 103, Sad Angel, Book Friends, Starfall, HKOY, KTSL, Braised Fish, and Yuxiadongi's recommendation ticket. Thanks. Killing God 9 starting point book coin 100 rewards. Chapter 52 Open black lens bracket Mr. Crossbones close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Midnight. Li Wei opened his eyes. Looking at the side, a group of electric current flickered, condensed into Max's figure. Li, there is a situation. Li Wei was wearing pajamas and came to the surveillance room with Max. The monitor showed dozens of figures in the manner approaching the villa. Since this is an infrared camera, the figure in the monitor is white, and it is difficult to see what it is. It looks like a human, but crawls on all fours like reptiles like lizards. After becoming an electro-optical person, Max sleeps less. Basically, he does not sleep. As long as he is charged, his body can maintain its peak state at any time. Therefore, Max became the best security guard of the villa. What is this? Max asked. I don't know, I'll know if I go out and have a look. Li Wei and Max walked out of the villa. Soon, the reptile on the monitor appeared in the eyes of both Levi and Max. With the help of the faint moonlight, the two could see clearly. This is human, to be precise it used to be human. Now these guys are swollen all over, their bodies are covered with tumors, they are leaking foul-smelling fluid, and they make heavy gasping noises. Damn it, what the hell is this? Max said with a look of disgust. It's not a good thing. Li Wei said. Advertisement. These monsters are the same as the monster he killed last time. It seems that these monsters and the last time the monster appeared here are not accidental, but for a reason. Roar. The monster let out a low roar, rushing towards the two together. His hiss. The electric light flickered. Max waved forward, and an electric current thundered out, directly piercing the head of a monster. The monster let out a faint wailing, its head emitted scorched smoke, and fell to the ground with a bang. Max dashed forward, turning into a ball of lightning and flew away. Crack, crack, crack. The thick lightning spread out, and the monster hit by the lightning was charred all over, emitting scorched smoke and fell to the ground. Roar. Suddenly, A monster roared at Max. Hiss, Max waved, and an electric current rushed out. The electric current hit the monster wailed, and its mutant claws patted Max's head. It has great brute force, Max snorted and flew out. Li Wei took a step forward and appeared in front of the monster instantly. The monster raised its paws and attacked Li Wei. Li Wei struck out with a punch, and with a boom, the upper body of the monster was blown into mushi. Wow. Max, who was next to him, saw this scene and bent down and retched. It's stronger again. Li Wei looked at his fist and muttered. Ho 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 ho. A roar sounded, and a dozen monsters rushed towards Li Wei. Li Wei stepped forward, his fist blasted out. Ordinary boxing. Boom. The bombarded fists rubbed the air and made a harsh sonic boom. With a punch, all the monsters were blown into flesh. Li Wei retracted his fist, and there was still white smoke on it. Wow. Max beside him retched again. In the villa. A shadow corner. A colorful spider fell to the ground along the cobweb and crawled out of the villa through the gap. ... Advertisement. The genius was overwhelmed, and the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. took away the bodies of these monsters. Hello, Mr. Li Wei, this is Brock Rumlow, the captain of the S.H.I.E.L.D. Rapid Reaction Special Forces. Can we talk about these corpses? A soldier shook hands with Li Wei. Definitely. Li Wei nodded. When he came to the yard, Rumlow saw no one around. He said, "May I ask a question? It has nothing to do with these corpses." Definitely, but I can't guarantee that I will answer you. Li Wei said. As far as I know, Mr. Li Wei rejected Director Nick's invitation. Rumlow stared at Levy. Yes. Can I ask the reason? It looks like I guessed it right, but to be honest, absolute freedom is actually absolute order, which is exactly what we are going to do. Rumlow said. I don't like working for others. Li Wei said. Mr. Li Wei. Rumlow lowered his voice. We are the organization behind the shadow of S.H.I.E.L.D. We are stronger than S.H.I.E.L.D. Our goal is absolute freedom, or absolute order. The leaders of our organization value Mr. Li Wei very much and sincerely invite you. If you join us, you will get more freedom than now. One day in the near future, when we achieve absolute order, then Mr. Li Wei, you will be the freest person on earth, with wealth, power, and at your fingertips. Rumlow's gaze has been staring at Li Wei's eyes, but he is doomed to be disappointed, and Li Wei's dead fish eyes have not changed any emotions. Done. Li Wei came back to his senses. Definitely. Then you can go. What? Rumlow didn't react for a moment. I said, you can go. After Li Wei finished speaking, he turned and left. Rumlow's eyes flashed with a haze. Looking at Li Wei's back, he said, Mr. Li Wei, you think you can carefully consider our proposal. After all, your true identity S.H.I.E.L.D. knows. Advertisement. If your identity leaks out, trust me, that's definitely not a good thing. After all, you have a lot of enemies. I know you, Mr. Li Wei, or Mr. Bald Mantle. Li Wei turned around, with a smile on his mouth. I know you too, Mr. Rumlow, or Mr. Crossbones. As soon as the words Crossbones appeared, Rumlow remained expressionless, but his pupils shrank sharply. This shows that he is very shocked. He hasn't used this title for a long time since he entered S.H.I.E.L.D. Even in the organization, there are few people who know that he is Crossbones. And these very few people are undoubtedly leaders in the organization. Who are you? Rumlow asked subconsciously. It doesn't matter who I am. Li Wei said, the important thing is that I know more than you think. I am not interested in your goals. Whatever your goals, I will not intervene. Anyway, don't mess with me. Li Wei stared at Rumlow's shocked eyes. He said, if one head is cut off, 2 heads may grow, but what if all 9 heads are cut off? If the appearance of the title of Crossbones shocked Rumlow, then Li Weigang's words completely shocked Rumlow to the point of no more. This guy actually knows their organization. Know that they are hidden in the shadow of S.H.I.E.L.D. For a moment, Rumlow had the idea of raising the gun and killing this guy. And this idea is extremely strong. However, in the end he gave up. Peas. Thanks to book friends, Gon Ziyu, UIYGFL everyone, Meng Zhongzi, readers, Mysterious Tianhe, Routine Tot, Reading Books 1989, Killing God 9, Kongcheng Jirenxin, Sea Pig, Poor, No Money, Bad Enough to Want to Kill People, Yasuo, Luo, Gulili, Yueling Died and Wounded 1111, Alone Mandarin, The Dead Spot Zelen, The Recommended Ticket for the Runaway Xiaoyaozi. Chapter 53 Open Black Lens Bracket Drive. Connors released from prison close Black Lens Bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Brock Rumlow would naturally not know that Levy has a pair of omniscient and omnipotent eyes. Abbreviated as the Eye of God's perspective. Li Wei definitely knows that Brock Rumlow is not only the captain of the SHIELD Rapid Reaction Special Forces, he also has another identity, Hydra Agent Crossbones. Crossbones is a member of Hydra, is the most loyal of the Red Skull who has been taken to guard the Soul Gem by Tesseract, and is one of Red Skull's most trusted right hands. His nickname Crossbones is derived from the pattern of two crossed bones on his battle suit. Crossbones, this guy is not simple, is a world-class mercenary, his fighting skills are world-class. It is even more familiar with techniques such as using firearms, flying airplanes, and tanks. Since the beginning of World War II, Crossbones and Captain America have often fought each other. He has no super ability, but he squashed Captain America several times with his bare hands. He is the enemy of Captain America. Brock Rumlow was in a mixed mood when he left. To be honest, Li Wei's threat made Rumlow very upset. But compared to the shock in his heart, he had to feed this information back as soon as possible. Their organization has been hidden in the shadow of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they have completed a lot of arrangements with the help of S.H.I.E.L.D. Even the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury has no idea. Now suddenly a bald head jumped out and said that he knew more than you thought. How Rumlow wasn't shocked. And this bald head seems to know a lot. Rumlow felt that this was definitely a major event that caused a shock to the organization. The worst plan may trigger a war. It depends on how they choose above. Rumlow didn't even think about it. He was a fighter, and he just needed to fight. The Middle East. Advertisement. You mean, several of our bases here were ruined by the guy called the Man in the Cloak. The man who was talking was a man in a coat, about 40 or 50 years old. They look like Indians and Russians. He has a sexy big beard, and his eyes are dark brown and deep. The man was holding a box of fried stinky tofu, and he ate a piece. It's delicious, I can't eat enough no matter how I eat it. Let Shaw Duo bring some back next time. Yes, it was all ruined by him. The man in the coat was followed by several subordinates, their heads hung down, not daring to look up at the man. Then that girl is also in his hands. Should be. Should. No, in his hands. Then how are you going to redeem my loss? The man in the coat asked, eating a piece of stinky tofu. I have arranged it, that guy will pay the price, one of his men replied. Really? The man in the coat suddenly turned around and kicked the talking man in the chest. This subordinate snorted, and the whole person flew upside down like a broken kite 7 or 8 meters away, and a mouthful of blood came out. You idiots, why should I raise you? Let him destroy all of our base. It took me 5 years to build a base here, you idiots. The man in the coat appeared in front of this hand in an instant, he roared, his face twisted and said. Remember, this is your last chance. The man in the overcoat tidied up his slightly messy collar and returned to the appearance of a gentleman just now. Advertisement. Yes. Yes, I know. At the same time. In a bar. At the front desk of the bar, there was a disfigured guy sitting. This guy seemed to have been drenched from his head by sulfuric acid, and he was completely unrecognizable. The disfigured man took a sip of wine, holding a photo in his hand. On the ground beside him, a man in black crouched and wailed. Asshole, don't you know that I never bargain? The disfigured guy put the photo in his pocket and said, but it's okay, just give the money. Dr. Connors walked out of the prison under the escort of the police. You are free. Outside the prison, when the warden uttered these words, Dr. Connors didn't react for a while. You said I'm free. Dr. Connors couldn't believe it. Yes, you are free. It was not the warden who was speaking, but a young man in a suit and tie behind him. Harry Osborn. Harry, it's you. Yes, Dr. Connors, it's me. Harry walked up to Dr. Connors and said in a low voice, Doctor, I know you were defeated by Spider-Man, so now I give you another chance and we unite. I will continue to fund you for cross-species genetic research, and then together, we can use the power of your cross-species serum and my power to defeat Spider-Man. Dr. Connors shook his head, my enemy is not Spider-Man. I am just a scientist. I don't want to participate in other things besides science. Advertisement. Harry smiled. In that case, Dr. Connors, you continue to work for me, and I will provide you with funds to continue your previous research. Good. Manhattan. A strange guy in a black and red uniform, a headgear, and a pair of knives appeared in the street. He is holding a photo in his hand. It shows a bald head in a yellow tights. His goal in this trip is to kill this guy. I have taken the international route, dealing with important murderers, gang members, bad monsters, or just giving money. This guy is talking to himself, and not far ahead, a guy in a yellow tights is being interviewed by news reporters. This guy must be a badass who kills people without blinking. Otherwise, how could the bounty be so high? Definitely, the reason why I am here to assassinate this bald head. It was arranged by this hateful guy. The guy in the red uniform pointed carefully to the sky and raised his middle finger. Hey, buddy, I want to charge you copyright fees. The guy in the red uniform said to the sky. Well, it seems that this is not my home court, I am not the protagonist. I don't know what my ending will be, but I guess it won't be too good. I don't know how this guy arranges for me, I hope it can be better. Well, I have to find my opponent. Wait, I have one more sentence to add. Bang. Before the guy finished his words, a car drove over and knocked him out. 24%. Chapter 54 Open black lens bracket give you a chance to surrender close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Li Wei wiped the sweat from his forehead. These reporters were crazy. He just passed by and subdued a group of bank robbers. As a result, the crazy group of reporters surrounded him. After answering a few questions, Li Wei realized that the questions of this group of reporters are always endless. He flashed away and disappeared from everyone's eyes. Li Wei walked into the alley, and when he was about to change his clothes, a slight footstep caught Li Wei's attention. Hey, man, someone paid me to assassinate you. I can't refuse their price. I definitely don't want to refuse. Li Wei turned his head. This was a guy wearing a tight red uniform with double knives behind his back. Li Wei naturally recognized this outfit at a glance. Deadpool. People give the nickname, Xiaoqianjian, Marvel's strongest mouthpiece. This guy first appeared in Wolverine, and was transformed into a mutant with multiple abilities. Because there was so much nonsense that people couldn't stand it, they were sealed. Later, Deadpool was released as an independent film. In this world, Deadpool was reset as an excellent mercenary. Unfortunately, he had cancer. In order to seek the last hope, he was tricked into accepting human experiments by a nasty guy. In the end, the experiment was successful, and his body was mutated, possessing an amazing healing ability that surpassed Wolverine. But he also paid the price, disfigured. If you go out at night, it may be scary. This guy has 3 very outrageous things. The first is his self-healing ability. Even if it is blown to pieces, it can regenerate its body. The second point, he is talkative. This guy can talk so much that you want to squeeze him madly, and what he said is a lot of things that don't match his lips and have a mess of things, so you can't find a trace of logic at all. Third, Deadpool knows he is in the comics world, so he is in a state of, everyone is drunk and I am alone. Isn't this guy an independent movie? Why did he appear in the Marvel movie universe? Li Wei showed a surprised look, but was relieved soon. This should not be a simple Marvel movie universe, everything is possible. Advertisement. Hey, man, what are you thinking? Can we start a fight? Deadpool said, I charge by the minute. If this continues, my employers may not be satisfied. Definitely, it doesn't matter whether they are satisfied or not. But now that I have collected their money, I think it is necessary to do a good job. After all, I am a dedicated worker. Why don't you obediently let me take a shot, so that I can go back for business? It really doesn't work, just let me cut a few knives. Li Wei finally saw this guy's mouth. He stretched out his hand and said, stop talking, let's start. Okay, let's start the fight. Deadpool dashed towards Li Wei, drew his pistol and fired several shots at Li Weilian. Boom boom boom. Deadpool's marksmanship is very accurate, after all, he is a world-class mercenary. But no matter what, Li Wei clearly saw the trajectory of the bullet shooting. Li Wei twisted his body and the bullet passed by. What? This is impossible. Deadpool fired a few more shots, but without accident, the bullets were evaded by Li Wei. Well, it looks like the bald man is a stubborn stubble. They chose to let me take the shot. It was a wise choice. But buddy, can you sell me your way of avoiding bullets? Although I am not afraid of bullets, and bullets can't kill me, it hurts to be hit by bullets. In the process of Deadpool's mouth shot, he rushed to Li Wei, drew out his double knives and slashed towards Li Wei. Go straight, hack, pick, sweep the legs, shot. A series of dazzling attacks was cleverly avoided by Li Wei. Advertisement. Good guy, it looks like I have found an opponent. Man, I'm going to be serious. I'm serious but I'm afraid of myself. Deadpool assumed a double sword attack posture, but his figure flickered, and Li Wei appeared in front of Deadpool. What? So fast? Li Wei punched, just like ordinary people fighting, punching Deadpool's abdomen. Boom. Deadpool said. Yeah, and the whole person shot out like a cannonball, flew out of the alley, hit the opposite street, and dented a car. Oh, good guy, your strength is so great. Deadpool shook his head, the yellow figure flickered, and Li Wei appeared in front of Deadpool again. Li Wei raised his fist and hit Deadpool. Damn it. Deadpool slapped his palm on the car, and he leapt up. Boom. With a loud explosion, the car was completely punched by Li Wei. The appearance of a trace of sparks caused the car to burn with a raging flame, and then exploded, drowning both Li Wei and Deadpool was shaken out by the impact. You are really strong, you can compete with a big guy. The first no. But that guy has a bad temper. Let's not provoke him in the end. Deadpool ran towards Li Wei, kicked it against the wall, and flew towards Li Wei. Take me a knife. Deadpool slashed Levi's head with a knife. Li Wei turned sideways slightly, avoiding Deadpool's attack. The fist was raised high and slammed at Deadpool's head. The pupils of Deadpool's eyes hidden in the hood shrank, and Li Wei's fist was eluded by the moment. Boom. Although this punch didn't hit Deadpool, it just blasted a shop across the street into ruins. It's none of my business. Li Wei turned his head and held out a helpless gesture. Deadpool just squatted down before avoiding Li Wei's attack. He wanted to escape from Li Wei's attack range, but he was kicked out by Li Wei. Deadpool flew out, tumbling in the air, hugging a street lamp. Although I don't bargain, this is for employers. This mission, I will increase the price when I go back. Advertisement. Deadpool fell behind a car. He unzipped his pants and pulled out the white underwear. Man, give you a chance to surrender. Deadpool raised the white underwear. You only have 3 seconds to think about it. I'm about to attack. Li Wei bombarded with a fist, and the fist blew the car away. Deadpool dashed out, drew out his pistol and fired several shots at Li Weilian. He was already close to Li Wei during the shot. The role of world-class mercenaries, I have to say that Deadpool close combat ability is very powerful. As long as he is close to Li Wei, he can always play a whole set of combos. But it is a pity that in the face of absolute power, any technique is useless. In Deadpool's dazzling operation, Li Wei punched. Ordinary boxing. Without any skill, the fist blasted out directly, making a harsh sonic boom. Deadpool blocked the 2 swords in front of him, trying to defend against Levi's attack. But, how is that possible? At this moment, in the world of Deadpool's vision, only Li Wei's fist remained. Boom. With a deafening roar, Deadpool's upper body burst open, turning into a rain of blood flying in the air. On the street in front of Li Wei, at a distance of tens of meters, the land was lifted up and turned into rubble. Flying sand swept, gravel splash. Some citizens who did not know the truth panicked, thinking that there was an earthquake. Li Wei packed Deadpool's lower body and one arm, and threw it into a pile of rubbish in the alley before he left. The Deadpool self-healing ability is amazing. Even if he beats him into the flesh, he can quickly recover. After Li Wei left, the fingers of Deadpool's remaining arm moved slightly, and the middle finger stood up. Peas. Thanks to Juilong, the Void, the king of duels. Jared, the evil burly tree. Ixon, I don't know what to name it. Yasuo, the streamer bookstore, the heart of the empty city. Loneliness is a kind of helpless, cold ice lolly, 799,450,427. Declining to want to kill people. Digital certificate. Fengju Xian, Big Wolf loves to read novels. UIYGFL, Old Cat 737, Culprit Zelen, Book Friends, Mysterious Tianhe, Return of Old People, Chance of Summer and Winter, Fall in Love in Autumn L, The First Big Stick, The Sword God Binbin, The Evil Dragon Prince I, The Sun's Head Cobbler, Haluahui, Death God Came 4444, Yan Tai, The Ink Lion Mo Yang, XYZ Xiao Nuo, Xiao by Veteran Recommended Votes. Chapter 55 Open black lens bracket challenging as if you have the courage close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Director. Drink a glass of water to calm down. Li Wei poured a glass of water for the director of Marinated Egg sitting on the sofa, grinning with big white teeth. After a fight with Deadpool, Chief Layden approached the door. After all, Li Wei paralyzed the tens of meters of the street with a single punch, and S.H.I.E.L.D. needed to deal with this matter. Although S.H.I.E.L.D. is not short of this small amount of money, the director of the Salted Egg still came to Xingxi to ask the crime. After Li Wei made dozens of pledges to guarantee that he would definitely converge in the future, the director of Salted Eggs left with suspicion. After the director of the Stewed Eggs was sent away, there was a roar. I saw a Harley motorcycle drifting in the yard, stopped steadily, and a bag-burning guy with sunglasses came over. This guy is of course Max. When Levy took revenge on 10 rings in the Middle East, he robbed countless motorcycles. Now Max has become a free voluntary policeman in New York City. He is even more diligent than Peter. He drove Levi's Harley around when he was fine. Flint Mark walked down the street embarrassedly. He has been very bad lately. It doesn't matter if he is chased by the police, after all, these policemen are like the air and have no effect on him. The most hateful thing is that Spider-Man always stares at him intently. Whenever he wants to do something big, Spider-Man will always show up. Flint Mark is now very low demand, he just wants to make money, and then save his poor daughter. At this moment, a black figure flickered in the air. Flint Mark saw it. It was the damned Spider-Man. Go die. Flint Mark's arm immediately changed into sand, condensed into a huge amounts of sand hammer, and slammed it at the Spider-Man fiercely. Advertisement. Boom. This sand hammer smashed the black spider to the ground. Flint Mark grabbed the black spider by the neck and roared, "Stop it, Spider-Man." Hissing, the black spider made a sharp howling sound, which was not a human voice at all. And that terrible mouth split into an exaggerated extent. His mouth was full of sharp teeth like serrations, and that snake-like tongue frightened Flint Mark. "You are not a Spider-Man." Flint Mark threw the black spider behind him, and the black spider landed on the wall. Flint Mark wanted to leave, but the voice of the black spider behind him stopped him. "I want him to die too, Flint. That's why I am looking for you." Flint Mark turned around, and the black spider crawled towards him from the wall. "By the way, I know everything about you. It seems that Spider-Man won't let you help your poor daughter. In my opinion, he is too disgusting." The headgear on the black spider's head shrank like tentacles, exposing Edward Bullock's cheeks. "I want to kill this spider, and you also want to kill this spider. If we join hands, he will undoubtedly die." Interested. The black tentacles on Edward Bullock's cheek surged, returning to the venomous face. "Definitely." Flint Mark nodded. Whoosh. At this time, the sound from the sky attracted the attention of Flint Mark and Edward Bullock. This is a man wearing light armor on a flying skateboard. The man was flying in the air, his helmet contracted backwards, revealing a handsome cheek. "Just relying on you two idiots, how could it be the opponent of Spider-Man and his companions?" Advertisement. This person is naturally hairy, or you can call him Green Goblin. Let me help you, and the Spider-Man is really dead. There was a smile on Harry's mouth, and the three of them looked at each other, forming an alliance of villains against Spider-Man. The alliance of Sandman, Venom, and Green Goblin. "I have a plan." Venom spoke first. "Spider-Man has a girlfriend, maybe we can start from this aspect." "Yes, I thought so too." Harry flew down suddenly and grabbed Venom by the neck. He said fiercely, "But, you must never hurt her." Venom inherits all the ability of Spider-Man. Except for the mysterious thing like spider telepathy, which failed to gain strength, the power of Venom is even stronger than Spider-Man. Venom pushed Green Goblin Harry away. "My target is only Spider-Man." ... People all over New York hold Roar's breath and pay attention to the progress of the hostage incident. About 10 minutes ago, the police came to this amazing scene. On TV, real-time news events are broadcast. A female news anchor appeared in the screen, and she said, "The hostage being taken is a young local woman. She was sitting in a taxi and was suspended 80 stories above the ground. It's like a huge amounts of spider web." All police attempts to rescue the hostages were stopped by Sandman Flint Mark, who had criminal convictions. In the shot, Sandman Flint Mark turned into a huge amounts of sand giant, and the police who tried to approach were relentlessly repelled. Firearms and rocket launchers hit Sandman's body, and they were of no use at all. There is also a strange man in black who was involved. Early reports believed that he was a Spider-Man wearing black clothes, but now he has been confirmed to be a completely different individual. In addition, there are several criminals wearing armor. One of the criminals driving rhino armor was confirmed by the police to be Russian gangster Alexei Sinsevich. Advertisement. The female news anchor appeared in front of the camera, and behind her, there was a huge amounts of rhino robot. Boom bang bang, the fierce firepower suppressed the policemen to their heads. With the assistance of a group of unidentified people, Alexei Sinsevich escaped from the prison known as the Treasury. It seems that this group of unidentified people is undoubtedly this group of people. In addition to Alexei Sinsevich, there is also an accomplice of criminals with robotic wings and octopus robotic tentacles behind them. They were confirmed by the police to be the Mexican mafia Ivan Garrel, who escaped together, and the notorious serial murderer Reed Victor. The identity of the last person wearing armor and walking on a flying skateboard is unknown. The police are still investigating. Now, the hostage is confirmed to be Mary Jane, an actress who has rarely appeared on Broadway recently. We are about 30 meters away. The scene is in chaos. The police are evacuating citizens here. Wait, there seems to be movement on the spider web, they seem to be writing huge amounts of letters. The female news anchor looked at the 80-story building, and following the photographer's lens, the letters on the spider web appeared in the lens. "Spider-Man, come and stop us if you dare." This is the original sentence above. It seems that Spider-Man is facing a positive challenge. "I have to face a serious problem." Faced with such an unstoppable challenge, Spider-Man and his heroes have won. What is the chance? As soon as Lee Wei and Max finished reading the news, Peter called. "Lee, I need help." "Parker, you don't need to say, I already know it, we'll pass right away." Before Peter finished speaking, Lee Wei spoke, and then hung up the phone. Max, we have to go. After speaking, the two rode on Harley motorcycles and galloped away. Chapter 56 On behalf of the real Rhino, I let you surrender. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Max, do you know the location? On the street, both Levy and Max were running wildly on a Harley motorcycle. Don't seem to know. In other words, are we lost? At the same time, Manhattan. Next to a famous building, here is the location of the hostage kidnapping incident. In front of the gate of the building, Russian gangster Alexei Sinsvik, wearing rhino armor, burst out laughing. The powerful firepower of the rhinoceros armor stunned the coming policeman. Whoosh! Several miniature missiles shot out from the rhino's blast hole, and the police in front hurriedly fled around like headless flies when they saw it. Boom boom. There was a deafening roar, and police cars were overturned. On the streets, burning raging fire turned into a sea of flames. The citizens who were watching from afar were undoubtedly sweating for these brave policemen. The rescue operation still failed. The brave policemen tried their best but couldn't move forward. The female news anchor recounted pessimistically, but the photographer in front of her caught a figure in the sky. Wow! The photographer's voice attracted everyone's attention. The citizens looked up and saw a figure leaping from between the buildings. Spider-Man! Spider-Man, here he is! The citizens were extremely excited. The electric light flickered, and the electric current spread out just where the photographer placed the equipment, forming an electric light person. Dianguang Man is here too. The photographer held the camera at Max, the electric light man, and showed him a close-up. Let it, please let it, the brakes are broken. At this time, a panicked voice came from a distance. With a harsh roar, a Harley motorcycle hurried past everyone's eyes and crashed into a large truck parked on the street. Advertisement. Boom. With a loud noise, the Harley motorcycle exploded, burning a ball of flames. Oh my God, what happened? Is he all right? May God bless him. It's so hot, so hot. In the flames, a bald head ran out embarrassedly. It's the bald man in the cloak. The female news anchor said in surprise. When all hopes fell through, they showed up and responded to the prayers of the citizens. Peter was swinging and leaping towards the car hanging in the air. Mary Jane is sitting inside. Peter, they just want to kill you. Mary Jane said. Don't worry, I want to rescue you from here. Be careful, Mary Jane yelled, and a black figure leapt forward and kicked Peter. Boom. The lid of the car's roof was kicked to pieces, and Peter was kicked out and landed on the spider web below. Hey, Parker. Venom stood on the car, and the venom from its head faded, exposing Edward Bullock's cheeks. My God, Brock. Peter couldn't believe it. That black spider suit actually found Edward Brock. My spider telepathy is aching. Venom shot a black cobweb in his hand and pulled Mary Jane towards him. He pinched Mary Jane's neck and said, You know what I'm talking about, Parker. Peter leapt towards the venom, but was hit by the venom's backhand and flew off. Ground. Li Wei and Max appeared in front of the gate. Li Wei jumped into the police car, took a horn from the police car, and said to the mech rhinoceros inside, Hey, on behalf of the citizens of New York City and the true rhinos of the world, you are asking you to lay down your weapons and raise your hands to surrender. Go to hell. There was a voice from the mecha rhino, and several miniature missiles shot at Li Wei and the others. His hiss. Electric lights flickered, several electric currents rushed out, and several miniature missiles exploded in the air. Max rushed towards the mecha rhino, and an electric current rushed out, hitting the mecha rhino. Advertisement. Boom. Sparks splashed everywhere. Electric lights flickered, and Max appeared in front of the mecha rhino. Max raised his hand, the electric current gathered, and rushed towards the mecha rhino. Boom. Sparks shot in all directions, huge amounts of power knocked the mecha rhino to the ground. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind Max. There are 8 robotic arms behind this guy, 2 of which are supported on the ground, and this guy rises in the air. The octopus's robotic arm grabbed Max's head in one fell swoop. Its power was so great that Max's head was pinched and shape-shifted. The electric current vibrates, and Max disappears into a burst of electric current. When he appeared again, Max had already come behind the octopus. The electric light is flourishing, and the diffuse electric current converges in Max's hands, forming a thunder and lightning halberd. I'm going to chop off all 8 of your arms. Max raised the halberd of thunder and lightning. But before he had time to attack, a huge amounts of fist bombarded him. Boom. Before Max could see what it was, he was beaten out. A sand giant about 10 meters high appeared. Sandman Flint Mark. Flint Mark's huge amounts of the sand hammer rose high and slammed it down at Max. At this time, Li Wei stepped forward. With a loud bang, the ground exploded like a spider web. In an instant, Li Wei appeared in front of Sandman Flint Mark. Flint Mark naturally remembered the bald head that beat him so hard. he immediately changed the target of his attack, and the sand hammer fell on Li Wei. Li Wei punched, as fast as thunder and lightning. Boom. With a boom, the giant sand was punched with a huge hole in his chest. The remaining fist wind also punched a big hole in the mansion behind the sand giant. Sandman Flint Mark didn't seem to be affected, and his fist slammed Li Wei. Advertisement. Li Wei's toes were a little on the ground, and he disappeared. When he appeared again, Li Wei came to the shoulder of the giant sand. Boom. Li Wei punched again, and the head of the giant sand was blown up, turning into a cloud of dust and flying in the air. The yellow sand swept and gathered. The sand giant recovered again. Flint Mark grabbed Li Wei, and Li Wei fought so hard that the sand giant's palm was instantly scattered. Li Wei put his toe on the shoulder of the giant sand, and he flew high into the sky. Ordinary boxing. Li Wei punched. Boom. A deafening sound resounded across the sky, and with a punch, the giant sand instantly jumped away, and the yellow sand swept out towards the surroundings. The smoke and dust dissipated, and a huge pit with a diameter of more than 20 meters appeared on the ground. In the huge pit, even if Sandman Flint Mark was broken into sand, they were slowly converging. In the air, Peter landed on the web, and the venom followed, and the bottoms of his legs were placed on Peter's body. Peter snorted, and venom tore off his headgear. We can find a solution. Peter looked at Edward Bullock in the black spider suit. He knew very well what effect this black suit would have on the host. That feeling will not be too good. You are too right. Edward Bullock's eyes rolled. I'm thinking of humiliating you, just like you humiliated me. You haven't forgotten it, Parker. Do you remember how you humiliated me? Chapter 57 Open black lens bracket Hero fighting close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Parker, you haven't forgotten it. You haven't forgotten how you humiliated me. Edward Bullock questioned Peter. Brock, listen to me, you don't want to do this, this dress is controlling you. Peter said. No, Parker, I just want to do that. I like to be a bad guy. The venom tentacles spread, covering Edward Brock's head, and he hit Peter with a punch. Peter snorted and fell from the venom web. Peter twisted around in the air, shot cobweb in his hand, shot on the venom, and the two fell from the air together. Even in the air, the two scuffled together and slammed into the ground with a bang. Parker, save Mary Jane, leave it to me here. Li Wei appeared beside Peter. Okay, Li. Peter leapt towards the sky. Parker, don't want to go. Venom roared and jumped to pursue Parker, only to find a hand grabbing his foot. Boom. Li Wei smashed the venom on the ground fiercely, and the ground cracked with an explosion. Hiss. The venom let out a harsh hiss, and Li Wei smashed it frantically for countless times, and then threw it into the building. Boom. Li Wei's power is terrifying, and the venom rushes towards the building like a cannonball. Boom boom boom. The flames flickered, and the rainy bullets turned into a storm and instantly drowned Li Wei's figure. Ha ha ha. Go to hell, bald. The gangster Alexei Sinsevich in the rhinoceros armor burst out laughing, and one missile shot at Li Wei. Bang. Li Wei touched his toes on the ground, and there was a blast. The ground cracked like a spider web, and Li Wei had disappeared as an afterimage. Advertisement. Li Wei was in the high-speed movement, he turned into a golden flash, and instantly appeared in front of the mecha rhino. At this moment, Li Wei looked to his side and saw a red light shooting at him. Without the slightest hesitation, Li Wei blasted out his fist. Boom. With a roar, the red light exploded, and Li Wei was lifted off by the instantaneous energy. Li Wei tumbled in the air and squatted firmly on the ground. He looked up and saw that above the rhino mech, there was a person wearing sunglasses and a pair of robotic wings behind him. Mecha Angel waved to Li Wei, and red light shot at Li Wei from Mecha Angel's shoulder cannon. Boom boom boom. These red lights are a kind of micro-missiles, but their power is much stronger than ordinary micro-missiles, and the place where Li Wei stood instantly turned into a sea of flames. Did you kill it? Murmured the man in sunglasses who controlled the Mecha Angel. Under his attack, the front turned into a sea of flames. The figure of that bald man was submerged by the sea of fire. Mary Jane, don't worry, I'm here to save you. Peter leapt into the car, which was crumbling in the black cobweb at this moment. Whoosh. At this moment, a sharp voice came. A black shadow rushed towards Peter. Peter leapt behind him and landed on the spider web. He looked up and saw that the man flying in the air on a skateboard was his good friend Harry. Harry, aren't you Amnesia? Peter asked. What? Parker, do you feel comfortable with Amnesia? My good friend. Green Goblin's helmet shrank back, revealing Harry's face. After being strengthened by spider venom, Harry did gain strength beyond the limits of the human body. However, his body was also tormented by spider venom day after day. His face, and even his body, had already decayed on a large scale. Harry, you have seen it too. Advertisement. Spider venom killed you like this. If you get my blood, I don't know what will happen to you. Harry interrupted Peter mercilessly. I will get better, at least not to suffer from spider venom like I am now. If you give me your blood, my good friend. Harry, we still have a chance, I can heal you. Peter said. No need, Parker. Kill you, I can also get your blood. The poison of spider venom made Harry's consciousness blurred. His hatred was infinitely magnified. Peter used to be his good friend, but Peter betrayed him. Dead, kill this traitor. There was always a voice in his heart, saying to Harry. Die. Harry flew to Peter, the blade of his arm popped out and slashed towards Peter. Peter avoided, but the sharp arm blade still cut through his uniform. Harry turned around and flew over, and he pulled out the Green Goblin light blade around his waist. This is a blade similar to a Japanese sword. When the handle is turned on during battle, a layer of green energy will be attached to the blade, which is indestructible. Even Spider-Man's body beyond the limit of the human body will be split by Green Goblin's light blade. Die, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, my good friend. Harry waved the Green Goblin light blade to Peter. Cracking. In the sky, there is a guy who emits electric current all over his body. Max waved his hand, and the strong electric current spread out, and then gathered together, turning into a thunder and lightning python and rushing towards the sand giant below. Boom. Under the impact of this thunder and lightning python, the sand giant's body was instantly burned into glass-like substance by the high temperature, and it was instantly shattered. But Max did not relax. Although he only played against Sandman for a few minutes, he knew that Sandman was not killed so easily. Advertisement. As Max expected, the sand giant opened his mouth and roared, and a stream of sand rushed towards him. The electric light flickered, and Max turned into a ball of electric current and disappeared. When gathered again, Max appeared at the feet of the sand giant. Hissing. The electric current gathered in Max's hands, forming a thunder halberd. Max dashed forward and turned into an electric light to rush towards the giant sand, and the giant sand also bombarded with his fists at this moment. With a bang, the ground cracked and Max evaded the sand giant's attack. The thunder halberd slashed towards the sand giant's foot, cutting off the sand giant's foot like cutting tofu. Boom. Without the support of his feet, the giant sand collapsed to the ground. Max flew away and appeared above the sand giant. Crack. Max pressed his hands in the void, and the strong electric current impacted. The sand giant's head was instantly shattered and turned into sand and scattered to the ground. I don't know if this is useful. Max walked in the sand, and he was not sure whether this would kill Sandman. Shaw shaw shaw. Suddenly, the sand behind Max flowed and gathered. Max was startled. He turned around quickly, only to see a fist of sand hitting him with huge amounts of sand. Boom. The ground burst, dust was flying, and rubble splashed. On the ground, a deep hole appeared. In the deep pit, Max lay in it. The sand giants gathered again, and he reached out and grabbed Max in his hands. Peas. Thank you, AJNTU, Bookmates, Great Wind 103, Great Wind of 8th Level 103, Warden of the Hundreds, Sands of the Northern Desolation, Yasuo, I Think You Post, TomTom, Albert Einstein's recommendation votes. Chapter 58 Open black lens bracket 3v3 Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The battle is still going on fiercely. It seems that Spider-Man and his heroes are in a hard fight. I don't know if they will win, but I believe. I, and the citizens of New York City, pray for their victory. I'm Jennifer, and I will report real-time news live for you. With the vivid explanations of news anchor Jennifer, the citizens before the TV series seemed to be on the scene. This battle was simultaneously broadcast live to all parts of America. At the same time, the flames were tumbling, and Li Wei walked out of it. Not dead. The man in sunglasses driving the Mecha Angel said in surprise. Then kill him again. There was a frantic laughter from the Rhino mech. Boom boom boom. The moment Li Wei appeared, fierce gunfire from the Rhino and Angel mechas attacked him. Boom boom boom. An explosion sounded, and Li Wei waved his cloak amidst the artillery fire. Justice. Implement. Boom. He kicked his legs on the ground with an explosion, and Li Wei disappeared instantly. The golden light flickered, and Li Wei's figure appeared above the Mecha Rhino. Die. Li Wei shook his fist. The fist rubbed the air to make a harsh sonic boom, bombarding the head of the rhinoceros mech with lightning speed. Boom. A loud roar came out, and a deep hole with a diameter of tens of meters appeared on the ground under a punch. The dust and rubble turned into a violent impact and swept around, and the Mecha Angel next to him was lifted out by the impact. In the deep pit, the Rhino mech becomes a pile of distorted shapeshifting scrap iron. Blood flowed out of the scrap iron, staining the soil on the ground reddish-brown. The Mecha Angel and the octopus who were not far away showed fear in their eyes. Is this still a human being? Advertisement. At this time, a black cobweb shot on Li Wei's arm. The venom screamed and lashed towards Li Wei with teeth and claws. Its speed was very fast, turning into a black shadow and coming to Li Wei in an instant. Hiss. Venom grinned and let out a low roar, and punched Li Wei. Li Wei's body was slightly on one side, while avoiding the attack of the venom. A flying kick was drawn on the venom. The venom let out a scream and flew backwards behind him. It tossed in the air and landed on a luxury car. Whoosh. A series of cobwebs shot at Li Wei, sticking to his face. Li Wei ripped off cobweb, and the venom had already hit him, kicking him in the chest. Li Weilian stepped back 5 or 6 steps before letting go of this strength. Worthy of being a venom, this guy is really powerful. In terms of power alone, Venom is even stronger than Spider-Man. Hiss. The venom leapt in the air and pounced towards Li Wei. Go away, Li Wei said coldly, and his fist struck the venom head with lightning. Venom let out a scream, and saw its head be smashed into a shapeshifting, flying out to the side, hitting the street for more than 10 meters before stopping. Boom boom boom. A burst of firelight shone, and dense bullets shot towards Li Wei. With a stride, Li Wei rushed towards the Angel Mecha and the octopus. After seeing Li Wei's terrifying power, the two naturally did not dare to rival Li Wei. The Angel Mecha flapped the mechanical wings behind him and flew up towards the sky. The octopus man also controlled the mechanical tentacles to climb up the building to avoid Li Wei's edge. Whoosh! Micro missiles shot out from the muzzle of Angel Mecha, turning into red lights to attack Li Wei. Li Wei's toe was on the ground with a bang, and the ground burst like a spider web. Li Wei soared into the sky and leapt towards the Angel Mecha. Damn it! Angel Mecha was surprised, trying to escape from Li Wei's attack, but how is that possible? In an instant, Li Wei came to the Angel Mecha. The fist blasted out. Among the eyes of the man with sunglasses in astonishment, the red fist grew bigger and bigger until it occupied his entire world. This is the last scene seen by the man in sunglasses living in this world. Advertisement. Splash of blood. The man in sunglasses sprinkled in the air like a cloud of blood. Dang Kang. The mechanical wings fell to the ground as a pile of scrap iron. The octopus lost his color in consternation, scared into cold sweat, and turned and fled the battlefield without the slightest hesitation. Now, everything and Harry's promise were left behind by him. Life is the most important thing. Life is gone, everything is gone. The octopus turned around, but the figure in front of him frightened him to death. The bald head has appeared in front of him. Damn it, when did you come here? The octopus took a few steps back subconsciously, and the mechanical octopus tentacles attacked Li Wei. Li Wei's arm was in the shape of a hand knife, and with a wave, the mechanical octopus tentacles were cut off one after another. Li Wei stepped forward, blasting away with his fist. With one punch, everything was wiped out. Only the sky of blood and a pile of scrap iron are left. Venom climbed up from the ground, and its twisted head quickly recovered. At this time, the battle became 3 volts 3. Spider-Man Peter Parker vs his good friend Green Goblin Harry Osborn. The two played inextricably, and Spider-Man had the upper hand. Electric Man Max vs Sandman Flint Mark. The battle between these two elemental super ability is simply a sci-fi blockbuster, but no one can do anything about it. In the end, only to see who is exhausted. Finally, the Bald Cape Levy vs Venom Edward Bullock. Venom leapt towards Li Wei on a swing. Several cobwebs shot at Li Wei, but was easily avoided. Advertisement. At the same time, the roof of the building. The fight between Spider-Man Peter Parker and Green Goblin Harry Osborn is coming to an end. Peter found a chance, injured Harry badly, and shot him down from the air. Peter picked up the Green Goblin light blade on the ground and walked towards Harry. Are you going to kill me? Harry smiled mockingly, red blood flowing from the corners of his mouth. Peter waved the Green Goblin light blade and stabbed Harry at Harry. Harry didn't resist, he didn't want to, and didn't have the strength to resist. Crack. A sound of mechanical fracture sounded, and the Green Goblin blade split the flying skateboard next to Harry in half. Harry, I will find a way to heal you. Peter walked to Harry's side. This is our hero Spider-Man, look, how kind. Harry mocked, he didn't appreciate it. No matter what you think in your heart, you will always be my good friend, Harry. After speaking, Peter flew over and rescued Mary Jane from the car. Electro-Optical Max and Sandman Flint Mark who fought below, both of them seemed to realize that if they continued to fight like this, neither of them would be able to defeat each other. They temporarily ceased the war. The electrical energy in the Electric Man's body has been exhausted, and Sandman Flint Mark has also been exhausted. I think we should stop the war temporarily and take a break. Dianguang said breathlessly. This is a good idea, I totally agree. Then the two looked at the same time, the final battle of this war. Venom vs Cloak Man. Peas thanks one reason. Yasuo, Andy, Return of the Old, Beautiful Heart of the Empty City, Muzzy Pudding, Sunny Day, White Innocence, Continued to Write Sadness, Luo Yuxia, 5-Day Stars, My Bed Has Magical Powers, Walking 100,000 Miles West, Death Hole Zelen, Yueling died 1111, Nicknames are loading, Husky, Yishun, Big Wolf Love to Read Novels, Peach Blossom Not Plum, Fate of Life, Book Friend, Mingyu Kongxing's recommendation vote. Chapter 59, The Right Arm of the Chief Marinated Egg. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Hiss. Venom let out a low roar, attacking Li Wei with teeth and claws. Its series of operations were as fierce as a tiger, but it was blocked by Li Wei blankly. Boom. Li Wei punched, and Venom's arms burst open instantly, turning into black liquid splashing on the ground. Venom backed away a few steps, its self-healing ability and its metamorphosis, that arm recovered in a blink of an eye. You can't kill us. Venom's hoarse voice came. He raised the car next to him and threw it at Li Wei. Li Wei grabbed the car and tore it with both hands. The car was torn in half with a click. Die, Li Wei said quietly. As soon as the voice fell, the ground exploded, and Li Wei turned into a golden flash and rushed towards the Venom. Suddenly, Li Wei appeared above Venom. Ordinary boxing. Li Wei waved his fist and bombarded away at the Venom. Boom. A deafening roar resounded all around, and the body of the Venom exploded instantly under Li Wei's punch, transforming into a black body fluid splashing in the air. In the fan-shaped area about tens of meters long behind Venom, everything was destroyed by the violent fist wind and turned into ruins. The black liquid flows and gathers together. We said, you can't kill us. The Venom gathered together again, but before its words fell, a harsh roar came. Dang. Li Wei took 2 steel pipes and knocked fiercely again. Buzzing. A harsh voice came, and the Venom roared miserably under the sound. Hiss. Venom twisted his whole body, revealing Edward Bullock in it. Clang clang. Li Wei tapped several times, and the Venom screamed sternly. At this time, Li Wei dashed forward and pulled out Edward Bullock, who was in the body of the Venom. Max, it's handed over to you. Li Wei looked at Max not far away. Max received it. He was floating in the air, and a strong electric current burst out all over his body. Crack. All the electric currents gathered together and rushed down towards the Venom. Advertisement. No. Edward Bullock yelled and ran towards the Venom, where they became one again. It's just that this time the Venom's powerful self-healing ability is useless. Its weaknesses are sound waves and flames. Max poured all his energy into a blow, burning the Venom to ashes. Brock, Peter, Mary Jane, and Max appeared beside Li Wei. It turned to ashes with the Venom. Li Wei said, I don't want to. At this moment, Sandman Flint Mark walked behind Levy and the others, but I have no choice. We always have to make a choice. Li Wei turned around. My daughter is dying, and I need money urgently. Sandman Flint Mark said, I didn't choose to be like this. If it weren't for his daughter, he would not rob again and again. No matter how fierce our inner struggle is, we always have to make a choice. The choice determines who we are. Peter said. Perhaps, we can help you, help your daughter. Li Wei said to Flint Mark. Sandman Flint Mark, although he has gained great power, he is still just a small figure in this society. The little people have the helplessness of the little people, and a bucket of rice is difficult for the heroes. Even with a powerful super ability, he can only rely on robbery to get money, but he still cannot get enough money to heal his daughter. Li Wei doesn't mind spending some money to win Sandman. When the Li Wei people talked, they didn't know that where the Venom turned into ashes, there were actually 7 drops of venom hidden in the crevices of the soil. The venom flows in the gap and disappears in this place. At the same time, in front of the Shield building, a black car stopped, and a man in a suit and a girl in a fashionable dress walked out of it. This girl is a mixed race, with the characteristics of Asian Chinese as well as the characteristics of American whites. He was about 20 years old, with long blonde hair draped over his shoulders. The skin is fair and the front is slender. The man in the suit next to the girl is Shield high-level agent Phil Coulson. Advertisement. Afterwards, the two walked into Shield. Daisy, welcome to New York again. Shield director Nick Fury greeted the two. Please, I'm on vacation. The girl complained. I also know this, but the recent events in New York City have caused me a headache. Without you, I feel that my hands are bound. It's Spider-Man, there's another guy who can discharge and what bald man? The girl asked. Have you seen the news? Definitely, such a big news, I don't know it. The girl sat in a chair casually. Phil Coulson agent is not surprised by casual girls, after all, she is one of the few level 10 agents in SHIELD. He is also the youngest level 10 agent, only 19 years old. When she was 18 years old, she had become a 10th level agent, equal to Director Nick, 2 levels higher than him. The girl's full name is Daisy Louise Johnson. She is an agent recruited and trained by Chief Nick, and she is also Nick Fury's most trusted right-hand man. So what do you need me to do? The girl asked. For now, we need to keep the status quo. We need to observe and understand them. Same time. In a hall, a secret meeting was unfolding. The members here are all high-level members of Hydra hidden in SHIELD. Everyone holds great power. These people usually don't get together easily except for the major events in the plan. But today, they meet again for one person. This is the third meeting. One of the people present here is SHIELD Rapid Reaction Special Forces Captain Block Rumlow. In the Hydra organization, he is nicknamed Crossbones. In the first place is Alexander Pierce. As the former director of SHIELD, he is also a 10th level authority agent. Advertisement. But his true identity is actually the spy leader hidden in the SHIELD of the Hydra organization, the manager of the Winter Soldier, and he also planned the Insight plan. Today they are together for the third time because of one person. That person is the Golden Glitter of super ability registered by SHIELD, and the folks call him the bald man with cape. The first meeting was when Pierce suggested contacting Mantleman, and then Rumlow went. As a result, Rumlow brought back information that shocked everyone. The Cloak actually knew that they were the Hydra organization and knew that they were lurking inside SHIELD. And listening to Rumlow's tone, man in the cloak seems to know a lot. This shocked everyone. The purpose of the second secret meeting was to prepare the Cloak to disappear completely, but the meeting did not reach a consensus. This time they started the meeting again. I suggest letting the Winter Soldier team take action immediately and get rid of this guy. Agree. I suggest to observe first. After all, this guy is not easy to mess with. The number of members of his Heroes Association is unknown. Even with the current Diangwang man, Spider-Man, how much do we have to pay to completely solve this trouble? And how much do they know about our Hydra? We don't know. We don't know who they are, and what kind of organization the Heroes Association is. It is irrational to start a war with an unknown opponent rashly. Although we Hydra are not afraid of any opponent's challenge, now is the most critical period of our plan. I don't think it is a good thing to fight such an unknown opponent. The most important thing is that although this guy knows our Hydra, but listening to his tone, he seems to belong to the neutral party and will not favor SHIELD. My suggestion, take the plan first. For now, watch closely to see if he is an enemy or a friend. Agree. 26%. Chapter 60, Power Comes at a Price. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The hostage kidnapping incident in New York City, the extended battle of super ability, has once again caused a storm of discussion in New York City. They are heroes. They guarded New York City. New York City needs heroes. I like Spider-Man so much. Are they heroes? Who will be responsible for the destruction caused by the city? Where are they? I love electric people. This guy is so cool. They are not government organizations, nor legal organizations. Should we trust them? Can we trust them? New York City doesn't need super ability like them. What they bring is only fear, chaos, and destruction. No matter how others discuss, Spider-Man saved my life, and I will always support him. It's so cool, Lee, we are on the headlines of all the newspapers in New York City. Peter excitedly lifted the newspaper in the air. Really? Lee Wei tilted his head and took the newspaper. Sure enough, the front page picture is a close-up of Spider-Man's handsome battle. In the air behind Spider-Man, Max is floating. This guy has a serious face, and there are electric currents around him. I have to say that he is really domineering. Wait, where am I? Lee Wei looked left and right in the newspaper, but he could not be found. No, isn't this you? Peter points to a corner of the picture, a small figure that can be almost ignored. If he looks at it with wide eyes, he can still tell it is Lee Wei indistinctly. Damn, the reporters of this group of newspapers are not professional at all. Lee Wei bitterly tossed the newspaper aside. Lee, I don't usually see how you exercise, why do you become so strong? Peter raised a question. Since we met, I haven't seen you exercise, but you are getting stronger every day. Advertisement. This question attracted the attention of several people in the hall. Especially Hire. Her ears stretched out. Lee Wei closed the comic book and said, Peter, great power comes at a price. I exercise all the time, but you haven't seen it. As soon as the words came out, several people hushed together. None of them have seen Lee Wei exercise, and this guy brags and doesn't write drafts first. Lee Wei grinned and didn't explain. After all, He trained in the Saitama space, and they wouldn't believe it. The time flow rate in Saitama space is 30:1 compared to Earth time. In other words, only 1 day has passed in Earth time. In fact, he has been training in Saitama for a month. How can he not be strong? After acquiring the power of Saitama Sensei, his body has broken the limiter of human physique. Li Wei's body seems to be evolving towards a higher level of existence. This kind of evolution is different from Peter's mutations. His evolution is to go with the flow, as if it is what humans should have. From the initial joy of gaining power to the now flat, Li Wei didn't know whether this change was good or bad. Peter, great power comes at a price. Li Wei murmured again. Li Wei can clearly feel that he has gained more and more power, but his feelings are also becoming increasingly indifferent. His emotions are slowly fading away. He lost the most important thing as a human being. After leaving Li Wei's villa, Peter ran towards Central Park on a motorcycle. Unfortunately, Li Wei's motorcycle was robbed again. After walking into Central Park, Peter took out his cell phone and prepared to call Mary Jane. For this date, he has been preparing for a long time. However, after taking out his mobile phone, Peter did not call Mary Jane's phone. Because Peter felt someone following him behind him. Advertisement. Peter gradually increased his walking speed. Did you find it? Really alert. A woman in a trench coat appeared in a corner. Peter's speed is getting faster and faster, but no matter how fast he walks, his spider telepathy tells him that the people behind him have been following him and never left. With fewer tourists around, Peter feels that this person is very close to him, right behind him. Peter turned around quickly, but there was nothing behind him. There was a surprised look in Peter's eyes, and his spider telepathy never missed it. Just then, Peter's spider telepathy appeared again. Peter turned around, and on a tree in front of him, a black figure appeared in his eyes. Venom, Peter said in surprise, and then he shook his head. The venom has been wiped out by them, and the people in front of him are not like Venom. The dark figure on the tree, wearing a spider suit, except that this spider suit is black. It is somewhat similar to Venom, but very different. And it's easy to tell that this black spider is a woman. After all, the black spider in front of me has a great figure. The tight-fitting spider suit perfectly outlines the S-shaped curve of the black spider in front of him. Spider-Man, I found you. The black spider spoke, and it turned out to be a woman. Madam, are you looking for something to do with me? Peter asked. Definitely, I'll get back what belongs to me. Black spider said. What belongs to you? Madam, I shouldn't know you, how come I have yours here? Peter asked curiously. He didn't know many girls, especially the voice was not familiar at all. Peter was very sure that it was the first time he heard the voice of this black spider. Definitely, your ability. The black spider attacked after speaking, and a cobweb shot at Peter from her arm. Peter was shocked, and he hurriedly avoided. But the black shadow flashed, and the black spider came to him. So fast. Peter was shocked. Advertisement. The black spider continued to attack. Although Peter blocked her main attack, he was still caught in the waist with a whip leg. Peter snorted and flew out, slamming his back against a tree. Hiss. Peter took a breath. This black spider is so powerful. Peter saw that there was no one around, and he quickly changed into a spider suit. There were rapid footsteps, and the black spider dashed to Peter. The two punched at the same time, their fists collided in the air, and with a bang, Peter stepped back again and again. The black spider raised his arm, and shot Peter at Peter. Peter shot out spider slime at almost the same time, blocking the cobweb shot by the black spider. Peter is so familiar with it. As soon as the black spider raised his hand, he knew what the black spider was going to do. The two looked at each other and rushed towards each other at the same time. One punch, two punches. Sweeping legs, flying kicks. In an instant, the two played against each other several times. As the battle continues, it can be clearly seen that Peter belongs to the inferior side. The black spider found the opportunity to kick Peter in the chest, and Peter flew back again and again to stabilize his figure. Cautiousness appeared in Peter's eyes, too similar. This black spider and him are carved out of a mold, and ability is almost exactly the same, even spider telepathy, black spiders also have it. But if it is exactly the same, Peter can feel that although the ability is the same, the black spider in front of him is obviously stronger than him. Whether in terms of strength, spider telepathy, and overall quality, he firmly suppressed him. Peter felt that this black spider seemed to be his natural nemesis. The black spider dashed forward, and the two fought together again. Peas. Thank you from the heart, Huang Feng. Presumptuous and tasteless absenteeism, declining to want to cut people, book friends, SSGSNLZ, book friends, Axie, one reason, Ni 9988, Wind and Cold, Super Fanatic 123, Tears Very Big, Skykes Loves Fei Shui, Greedy Cat, My Show, the 8th level Gale 103, Recalls the Autumn Wind, The Emptiness, My Bed Has Magic Power, The Book of Songs, the recommended vote of 11.